This is the D6 generation with your hosts Craig Gallant,
little thing I like to call a joke,
Russ Wakeland. I'd put the little white handkerchief on my head and go, "Oh, my brain hurts!" And Rafe Hollywood Granger.
HD is in the house.
With contributions from our lovely wives.
He cheated, cheater, Russ. You guys have to know the rules before you play him.
And our loyal listeners.
Drago, we made you out of steel.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at you with the speed of light, being sucked directly into an intellectual black hole. Today's edition is brought to you by Dark Angel 13 on the forums, who'd just like to remind everyone that there's a little McNerdigan in all of us. Merry Christmas. I'm Geekly McNerdigan, your host. Today our panelists are Russ Aching Void Wakeland, and playing the role of random Hollywood Rafe Granger is Andrew Vitiation Hartland Hacksaw 76 on the forums. Let's begin. Issue number 1. The term void refers to an empty space, a vacuum or emptiness. In astronomy, the term refers to the empty spaces between galactic filaments. In nuclear engineering, the term void coefficient refers to a number arrived at through a blind guess. In injection molding, such as plastic models, a void refers to a defect where there are empty spaces in the model, or air bubbles. Electromigration can cause voids in conductors, and drugs, alcohol, or poor breeding can cause voids in a person's head.
Where does he find this?
Question. What is the most poignant void currently being dealt with by the D6G crew? Russ, Freud, toyed with the void.
Where the hell is Hollywood?
All right, Andrew, what's missing while I'm reminiscing?
I need more dice.
Wrong! It's the Christmas spirit we're all missing, folks! Oh, and where is that? Where in the world is Hollywood Granger anyway?
Exactly.
Issue number 2. Throughout history, humanity has used games to train our children to think, to occupy their racing minds, and to introduce slowly and through play more and more advanced concepts to their developing brains. Whether it's make-believe to boost their creativity or Guess Who to work on their memory, we're constantly using games to help them along. Question. What is the single most important game to play with a child as they are growing up? Andrew, playing tag is good for some brag.
Thermo-global nuclear war?
Nice.
Russ, tic-tac-toe might slow and to and fro.
How to find the bathroom.
Interesting. Clearly you've both forgotten Keep Away, where a single child is chosen as the pariah, and all other players taunt them ceaselessly while denying them the object of their interest. What could be more like adult life? Issue number 3. Electricity, from the Latin electrium, meaning amber-like, is a general term that encompasses a variety of phenomenon resulting from the presence and flow of an electron charge. From lightning to electromagnets, we are surrounded by this effect every day, and spend very little of our time thinking about it until it is gone. As we record this, thousands of people in our immediate area are on their 7th day without electricity in freezing or near freezing temperatures. I myself went for 3 days without power before it was restored to my neighborhood. Question. In the total absence of electrical power, what is the single most vital thing that could be missed? Russ, I'd be in a rush to hush with no flush.
Heat.
Andrew, life is much cuter with a working computer.
Candlelight?
Wrong! Candles give you light. Fire gives you heat. There's countless ways around almost every inconvenience. But how do you get by without your TiVo? How much black screen can one DVR record? Seriously. Issue number 4. For decades, fans of all types of games have been flocking to organized events where they would like to be talked to with other fans, trying out new games and competing in various competitions from painting to playing to dressing up. Some of these gaming conventions, as they came to be called, are now huge, with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. Others are smaller, more local affairs that cater to the needs of a community or smaller area. Question. What is the single best thing about any gaming convention? Andrew, a forum's a quorum where you lose all decorum.
Eternal war.
Russ, I'd love to grandstand by doing a handstand on the bandstand.
It's easy to find an opponent.
2 words, gentlemen, 5 little syllables and you're done. Chainmail bikinis. Thank you for listening and good night.
We will pass through the American patrols, past their sonar nets, and lay off their largest city, and listen to their D6 generation while we play our Russian board games.
Dice are our vice.
Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the D6 Generation. I'm Russ Wakeland.
I'm Craig Gallant. And there is no Rafe Hollywood Granger.
Where's Rafe?
He's out being random.
Yeah, sadly, due to events around the holidays, Mr. Granger will not be here today, so we'll be going...
Our hearts are with him.
Yes.
But he actually has a serious thing he's dealing with.
So we'll see him
He's
again
gonna
next
be
episode.
okay, but-
Yep. And we still have the Hollywood Minute coming this episode.
Yes, we will.
As potentially some other contributions from him. We don't know yet. But
who knows?
But he won't be in. In this show, we have a couple interviews.
I have put in a couple bullets for him for achievements, however.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice. We have a couple big interviews coming up around the big event TempleCon.
Yes, indeed.
Coming out in February, but we wanted to get the word out about TempleCon now.
That's right.
Because it's really only a little over a month away. I mean, it's almost the end of December right now.
It's a very odd way of looking at things.
Well,
that's true. It's at the
beginning of February. It's the end of December. How much time is that?
About a month and a half away.
About a little over a month. Which should be a month and a half.
I guess we're arguing about a little.
Well, if you want to get a hotel room and you want to get time off and come to this thing, you got to start planning now.
I'm not saying we're doing it too soon. I'm just arguing with your definition of a little.
We can't even define how early we are.
Very subjective.
All right. Anyway, we think it's very exciting. So we're going to be talking to Grant, who is the sort of the founder and one of the
and coordinator
ground floor guys. And then Andrew, who is a big Privateer Press Pressganger in the
big
region.
guy in the Privateer Press.
And heavily involved in all that stuff.
And TempleCon is a huge Privateer Press event.
As well as many other games involved, too.
Oh, huge. Lots.
So you listen.
Lots.
If you like board games or anything, TempleCon's awesome with that, and you're going to hear a lot about that.
If you're anywhere near the Northeast, this is the con
This is the con in the Northeast to go to. Before we get to all that, we need to thank our advertisers.
We should.
And who are our advertisers this episode? Craig.
PaintedFigs.com.
Always.
They feature prominently in their Not So Horrible hit.
Yes, in the song we mentioned Painted Figs. And also Doghouse Systems.
Oh.
Right. Who make great gaming PCs. Go to doghousesystems.com and check that out. And we thank them for their support.
Yep.
We also have
several contests.
Some contests going on. PaintedFigs.com is running a contest. What's their contest, Craig?
You're going to be getting the Space Orc half of the Assault on Blackreach box set.
Yes.
So paint to your specifications.
Right. And so that is, all you got to do for that is go to our website, go to click the contests link, and there's instructions in there on how you can get into the Painted Figs contest.
No creativity necessary.
No, just an email and you're in. Now also, Owen, our Word from Wales contributor gentleman there.
Owen Rufus.
Who we discovered last episode.
That's an awful, I don't even know where that accent's supposed to be.
He's going to pick on you for that next episode. We now know that Owen has appeared in Doctor Who.
Yes,
which kicks him for like 7 points on the Geek Meter.
3 times.
It's a cool Geek Meter. I mean, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
In fact, I wanted to go and put this out because I don't know. But if you think we would consider you famous, let us know. I'm curious. Do we have any famous
listeners? Okay.
That's the contest. That's the new contest.
We have
pat on the back and a bowl of soup to the most famous person who emails us with proof of your identity.
Yeah. Well, for video game fans, I happen to know that one of the developers who works on the Cities of Heroes stuff is actually a listener.
Absolutely, which is great. But I'm thinking more along the lines of, like...
You want a famous person.
Somebody... Yeah.
Or even remotely famous. Even anybody we think we might be, wow, that guy listens, we'd like to hear.
Or somebody we can check out on IMDb.
Okay. All right. Hey, you think Owen's an IMDb?
He could very well be.
Wait, the reason we brought up Owen was because...
he also has a contest.
Owen's running a contest, and he asked... Words from Wales is not appearing in this episode, probably because of the holidays. But Owen did ask us to remind everyone that his contest is ending on the 31st of December.
That's right.
So the end of the year, you got a week and a half left.
A little bit.
So you better hurry up and get your entries in for that to win his painted figures.
See how I work that? Little bit.
Now also,
definition of little.
we have another thing going on here that's not really a contest, but I thought we'd mention it here unless you think we should wait.
Did you mention this contest? I think you scrolled past.
Oh, yes. Well, there's the contest.
Right past the contest.
There's the Wargamer Radio Network contest,
right.
which we're part of. Warn. You've been warned.
You have been warned.
Right. And the way this contest is working, there's a prize pool put together by all the podcasts in Warn. Who are those podcasts, Craig?
Those podcasts are World's End Radio,
yes.
Podhammer, 40K Radio, and the best of the bunch, the top of the heap.
A number one.
Thank you very much, Blue Eyes. The D6 Generation.
Right. So if you would like to participate in that contest, how it's going to work is we're still all coordinating because it is 4 o'clock podcast. We all have our own schedules. We're on different sides of the planet. We don't know what the hell we're doing, really.
The interesting thing is that I think we were Johnny-come-latelys on this concept of the contest.
Right.
And we all got, like, concerned because we
behind.
weren't doing it, that we were behind.
So we did it, and they're all haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I don't think they've done it.
So anyway, but the thing is, our secret word is still the same.
Yep.
And
we'll give it again later in the show.
Yes. And if and we'll give it again in another future show. There will be an email address from Warren that you send us to, and you're going to listen to secret words in all the different podcasts in Warren. And if you get them all right, you'll be put in a pool, and your name is drawn from that pool. You will win from the prize pool. And we're contributing. What are we contributing?
We are contributing.
Mutant Chronicles.
Mutant Chronicles. I just saw the book, actually, Mutant Chronicles.
Oh, yeah?
There's a book, based on the movie.
Yeah, this is not the book or the movie. This is the board game, Mutant Chronicles by
Fantasy
Fantasy Flight.
But the movie is based loosely on the board game.
Right. It's actually a miniature collectible
It is
board
a-
game. It's
yeah,
sort of,
it's-
but it's not random. It's not.
It's-
So
yeah.
We'll talk about this more later.
It's a hybrid. We're going to have
Someday.
to talk about it later.
Okay, so that's that contest.
So contest.
Now, do you want to talk about the TempleCon thing? Or
Now I would very much like to talk about the TempleCon.
Okay, so this whole show we're going to be talking a lot about the people who are running and involved with TempleCon, which we're very excited about. But Craig and I are very excited
Very excited.
because we are going to be running. We're already in negotiations. We think it might happen. We think we got a shot, but we're trying to run a little event at TempleCon ourselves.
Yes, we are.
What are we going to be doing, Craig?
We are going to be doing an event featuring all of our fully painted fleets and terrain and any fleets you want
Craig's
to bring
cool
for
table.
Uncharted Seas.
So you've seen the pictures on the website.
Now
if you're a
you
new
can
listener,
see them in person.
go look. There's a link right there in Craig's blog from the website, from the D6generation.com. And it has all of Craig's beautiful terrain. We're going to have all of our fleets painted.
Yep.
My human and orcs and Craig's,
Are already painted.
whatever the other ones are.
Dragon Lords
and dwarves. And we may or may not get some new ships by then.
Hopefully.
And we're going to set the table up, and for an hour or 3 or whatever, we haven't figured the exact number of time yet, or 4, we're going to run some kind of Uncharted Seas event, but we're not really sure what we want to run.
We are in negotiations with each other right now.
So we want your help.
We do.
What do we need help with?
Well, we have 2 ideas.
Yeah.
We have Russ's idea, and Russ's idea is this is such a cool game, we don't want to dilute it with
Right.
other things. We want to make it a nice fleet
We want to see
engagement
massive
game.
fleet combat.
My concern with that is that takes up a lot of time and not as many people might be able to get involved. My idea is we give you a smaller fleet or you bring a smaller fleet with you and we do a monster hunt. It's where you go around, we kind of control the monsters and they try to take out your ships while you try to kill the monsters. But if somebody's killed a monster, they get like a little token on their boat. You can go kill their boat and take their token. So there's a little naval action and the monsters.
So I would like to focus more on the naval action of the game,
And
but Craig
I've
thinks
got
the
a-
monster hunting would be fun.
bit of a hook, see.
So either one's fine, so let us know.
Right.
But I think
What
no
do
matter
you
which
think
one
would
we
be
do,
cool?
you're going to be able to bring your own boats or use ours.
Or use ours. So
whichever.
you'll have you'll have the opportunity to use any or all of the fleets that are existing right
So
now.
write in and let us know. We're going to work with TempleCon to get our time blocked out and let them know we're doing something with Uncharted Seas. But write in and let us know whether you'd like to see monster hunting or just total fleet-on-fleet action.
And in the subject heading of your email, write Uncharted Seas event.
Right.
Just so we can kind of
So that's
go
our
to
little,
those.
not really a contest, there's no prize except
Yeah,
if you come to
there's
TempleCon, you'll be able to play the game you want to play.
Exactly. There you go. And what kind of a prize?
All right.
What more do you want?
Now we have a few thank yous in addition to our advertisers.
We do.
Adam, who's won many
Adam.
sponsorships on the show,
Adam has taken a new tack.
has now decided he'd like to donate instead
Yep.
because he wants to give room for other people. to get some
Adam.
shout-outs.
Adam is a gentleman. He's a
And we had some
gamer and a gentleman.
So we thank Adam for that. And we want to
Thank
thank
you,
all the
Adam.
people who bought shout-outs this week. We had
We
quite a few
do.
people buy shout-outs.
Yep. It's
New
a-
folks, thanks to Adam.
That we're back up and running.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. And the Wise didn't win this time.
No, thank
Legitimately.
God. Who
they did not
won?
win. I believe it was, which one was it? Rapid Fire? Achievements in Gaming, this
Which
very section.
we haven't done yet.
We haven't got to Achievements in Gaming yet. Right. But when we get to Achievements in Gaming, you'll hear the shout-out that
Exactly.
was won this week. And we also want to thank, we have not done this for a while.
Nope. That's why. So this may take a while. Kick back, relax,
Right.
get a
Now,
cookie.
We said before that leaving reviews on iTunes really helps the
Huge
show.
for us.
Really helps promote the show. It ranks us higher. And it also let us know what you think of the show.
Exactly.
So we want to say thank you to the folks who did that by giving you your shout-outs and, mentioning some of the comments you left for us and let you know that we really appreciate it. So in the United States, who do we have? Give us a couple ones in the United States here, Craig.
Okay. We have Manana Republic. Best game-related podcast available.
Thank you very much.
Country Boy 66 requested 12 Days of Gaming song, Hurt Himself Crying.
Yeah, he said, he mentioned that he wanted us to let the 12 Games Gaming song be out by itself.
Yep.
Which he obviously left us a review before we did that. We just did it on the website.
Yep.
So if you heard the 12 Days of Gaming song in the middle of last episode,
Right.
you can now download it as its own MP3, stick it on an MP3 player, put it in your holiday mix.
Yep.
If you think it's good.
Or you can go to YouTube, and we actually have a video
Watch
now.
the new video that Karen and
Yeah,
Craig put together.
Karen primarily.
Put the videos on there.
Hopefully, if we can get the finished copy. Right now, there's a rough copy that
Yeah, the rough.
accidentally got released.
Yeah.
That Karen did all by herself.
So you can currently see the director's cut. The editor's cut.
The director's cut will be hopefully by
Extended
Saturday,
remix.
before this comes out. Actually, so if you're hearing my voice, you have no idea what we're talking about, and you go look for it at our website, you will then see the final copy of the 12 things of gaming,
Right.
or
So-
frustrations, or,
Tom,
or what did you call it? 12
challenges of gaming.
challenges of gaming.
Right. We have different names for it.
It's mutated.
It's like the eternal struggle.
It is.
Tom I writes that we're 1+ the reroll, which is great.
Which is awesome. It totally violates our philosophy of rating, but we'll take it.
It gives us a great rating, and it just
take it.
violates physics.
Yeah.
But D. Stewart, what does he say there? Well done.
Well done, Archer 2393. Very nice. Hardest working gamer podcasters. Thank you. You know, we do work hard.
We do work very hard.
Some of
And it's
us
nice
work
that people
really hard.
appreciate it. That's great.
It is true.
Guardian 06 says we're fantastic.
ATGJM says a great find, and he's been a McLaughlin fan since 98.
So we obviously got our jokes.
Thank God.
The rapid fire. Myriad Games. Hey, we know that guy.
We're big fans of Myriad Games.
Myriad Games says we're...
I'm not sure. A colorful cast of characters?
Yeah, he gave us 5
Dan?
stars. But
Dan,
Dan's
buddy.
so cool. Well, on behalf of Dan, we'd like to say support your professional local gaming store everywhere, even if they think you're colorful.
Yeah. You're a colorful character.
Dan's pretty colorful. Severin says we're the most well-rounded podcast.
Hey, we're all on a diet.
Yes.
Lee says best ever.
Right. I like this. My favorite name so far is Forsaken Pop-Tart.
I like it.
Forsaken Pop-Tart says, this podcast is a boosted POW 20.
That's
Little,
a War Machine reference.
Little War Machine.
We got Beefy
prop.
B.
Try to control it. Beefy B. Beefy B. Yes. What about Beefy B?
You get the next one.
Oh,
Jesus.
Beefy
What
B.
kind of situational awareness are you
Arpar
working?
and-
What are you doing? We're alternating.
Are we?
There's no There's no pattern recognition here at all.
Now we've given away that we're actually not that hardworking. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, look, great show, says Contagious Enthusiasm. Yeah,
No.
You're right about the contagious part. I am not overly
All right.
enthusiastic.
What about our friends in Canada?
Rather be fly fishing.
Vet Sergeant Nomenon. How do you say that?
I don't know. It could be Naman.
Naman?
It's a GW character name, so it could be anything.
He says that our level of enthusiasm is only matched by our professionalism and the cornucopia of comedy that oozes out of every episode.
Which is so nice. We're not going to comment on the spelling of cornucopia.
No, that could be me, though.
In the UK, it was, that could very well be you. Mephiston AG, fun show. I think you think we sold him on Uncharted Seas?
Yes, yeah.
Why?
He said that now you made me buy another game, and that was episode 20.
Oh,
so I
yes.
think he got sold
Well,
on
I hope
Uncharted
you like
Seas.
it as much as I like it.
We love it. And Karalad says, one of the best podcasts I know.
What are the other ones, Carlot?
I don't know. How would we fit in there?
Yeah,
Karalad?
come on. Ben Curry, excellent!
Yeah, and now in Australia,
In Australia.
Madonna says that Craig is fantastic.
Of course she
Russ
does.
makes me laugh, but everybody wants to go to Hollywood.
Now, what do you mean by go
I don't know what that means.
Spadster. And
Tacit, or is it Tackett? Not sure. To be listened to by all gamers. Very nice. Thank you.
that's the kind of order we like.
Now this is cool.
Exciting.
We got a comment from Vietnam. Now this is interesting because if you go to the Vietnam and iTunes, like many countries that are, have certain forms of government, let's just say, podcasts are not viewable.
Oh, really?
But this person who lives in Vietnam has gotten to the Australian section, left us review in Australia.
Really?
Said he lives in Vietnam, but he's a transplant. He's actually, I think, American-Australian.
Uh-huh.
And
he is Goosall.
Yep.
And it says...
Fantastic way to stay up to date.
Excellent.
So we're happy to know that we can let some people who are in Vietnam keep up to date when the worldwide game.
That's right, brothers.
That's right.
We stand with you. John has a long mustache.
Hey, we finally got some reviews in Ireland.
Chair
Hollywood
is against the wall. Sorry. Mandragoran.
Yep.
D6 greatness. I like it.
And Tyrannus.
Right. And while we're in the UK,
Oh, while we're in the UK, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Owen, we tried to find some reviews left for us in Wales, but you know, in iTunes, when you go to the country picker, Wales isn't in there.
Nope.
The UK's in there, and Ireland's in there.
Yeah, we're not sure how you feel about that.
So is Wales
Steve
part
Jobs,
of the UK there?
Steve
Yeah.
Jobs better
I think
get
you need to write a
himself-
letter to Steve Jobs.
No, I think he needs to get one of your little audio emails.
That's right, a little audio commentary.
I think you need to tell him all about his name,
Yep.
why he's wrong, and I think within a week, Wales will have its own button.
Now, in Sweden,
The almighty fish.
the Almighty Fish says, they're not too bad. There are far worse ways to pass a couple hours of work.
Yes, thanks, Swedish fish.
He gave us 5 stars. I just thought that was pretty funny. And then we even got a review in New Zealand.
New Zealand. Garskow. Reasonably funny.
Informative.
Guys, what are we doing?
They're
here,
giving us 5 stars. It's
Reasonably funny, very
it's
informative.
better than a sharp stick in the eye. I'll listen to them.
Yes.
So thank you again, everyone, for your iTunes reviews. Those
Yes.
are awesome. We'll try to do them more often. It's not quite so long, but we really felt
Absolutely.
we owe
and
you guys
we would
a thank
like
you.
to spend one more second saying again, thanks to Myriad Games.
Yep.
And we want to thank them on behalf of all of your friendly local gaming, professional local gaming stores. And we're talking those stores that go the extra mile.
Right.
Okay, you know which ones they are. They don't smell of urine. They stock your favorite games. They give you a call when you got stuff coming in. And we'd just like to take a second with Myriad Games to thank all of those stores that go the extra mile.
And now it's time for...
Achievements in Gaming.
All right. And Achievements in Gaming is sponsored by... Well, first we have to do a special... We have a very special sponsor today.
We do, yes.
So we have to introduce ourselves.
Right.
So I'm Russ, Nicole's husband.
And I'm Craig, Karen's husband, and Rafe, if he were here, would be Maurice's husband.
Right. And Nils sponsored this episode in this segment, and he'd like us to say...
Nils is a fan from way back, and
Yes, he
we're
is.
going to indulge him with the following paragraph of text.
Right. Normally shots a little bit shorter, but we like Nils, so we'll go this one.
Black Cavalier would like to encourage you to expand your gaming horizons by checking out the Miniature page at theminiaturespage.com. The Miniatures page is a worldwide online community that shares info on all types of wargaming, including fantasy, sci-fi, historical, all periods from ancients to moderns to wars in the future. All game scales from 2mm to 54mm, land, sea, air, and space, and includes an extensive list of wargaming manufacturers. Everything about anything for wargaming is covered by the Miniatures page. So stop by and find a new game to play today.
Well, that is one hell of a shout-out, Nils. I didn't get your money's worth on that one.
I added today. Did you see how
I
that-
did it. You did a very good
rhymed.
job. It ended
It
nicely.
rhymed.
Complete today. All right, so let's talk about what we've been achieving since last episode. So, Craig, what have you been up to?
What have I been?
What games have we been playing?
I've been playing Uncharted Seas.
All right.
I played once with Dave and the Historical Gang,
Yep.
and that was great. And on the forums, there's a lot of talk over I'm going to get in so much trouble for that.
What are they still?
Dragon
Do
Lords.
people still think they're not Dark Elves?
I don't know, but
Who-
they're
I mean, how can they not be Dark
I mean,
Elves?
if you were Spartan Games, I wouldn't want to beat somebody up there on a
I see
podcast
what you're
calling
saying.
them.
Oh, just
Dark
because
Elves.
of the whole copyright issue?
Well, not only that, but they are Dragon
their
Lords.
fluff.
They're
Yeah, yeah,
kind
you're right.
of a cool little extra
It
thing.
is a cool thing.
And they're sort of like a mix between the Dark Elves and the Melnibonians, for those of you out there who are fans of Elric.
Nice.
Because
Achievement
there's
for Melnibonian.
There you go. The Melnibonians deserve it.
Get to.
You deserve it. An achievement. They're all dead. Okay.
Kind of like the Mandalorians. I got a Star Wars reference in there. Like
There you
that.
go.
They're all dead,
Nice.
too.
That's nice. That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with
you just
anything.
totally jumped genre
All
on
right.
me.
We're back. We're back on
All right.
boats now.
Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of talk on the forums that the Dragon Lords can't take on the dwarf battleship. It's just so tough. So we beat the dwarves.
Yeah.
Dave and I did, and it had very, very little to do with the fact that the battleship was completely.
It had, I watched that game. It had everything to do with the fact that our historical friends decided, for some reason, and I cannot explain this, that the dwarf battleship should be deployed to the far left of the field.
The extreme left flank behind the biggest
and
island.
the plan was to take the slowest ship in the game and flank rush up the left-hand side, which of course never materialized.
No, it was
and
beautiful.
the Dragon Lords dominated
There's
the dwarves.
nothing like a dwarf player, the look on their face the first time they see a Dragon Lord frigate do a complete 360 around one of their ships.
You were doing like circles around the little frigates, which was hilarious.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, so the Dragon Lords can do very well. You got to keep an eye on them because they get
They're
on you.
finesse. They're
Yep.
finesse, and you can't get you once you get hit by one of those hammers or anvils, and then you're done.
Right.
But that was a great game. And then last night but this week I tried to do a bit of kind of a demo game, and we played just cruisers and frigates. I played with our friends Chris and Chad, and it's not as. This actually speaks to me that the starter fleets are really well balanced.
Yeah.
Because you take out that battleship, and it's not that much fun.
The game is really a big
It's
action
a fleet.
game.
It's a fleet
It's not
action
fun
game.
with too small a model
Right.
count. You need bigger model
Right,
counts.
because
Yeah.
I took 6 frigates, and each of them took 3 cruisers.
That's why I'm nervous about the monster hunting thing. See, it's small
Right, but
model count.
that was 3 people, and we were doing the whole thing.
All right.
Anyway,
All right, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
All right. So, any other Uncharted Seas news there?
No,
I watched both those games and they look great.
I had a blast.
And I did. We'll talk about that in modeling. So now, I got to play more of my Descent Road to Legend campaign.
Yes, you did.
We are getting dangerously close to copper level, and my heroes are doing their first.
What does that mean for those of us that don't?
Silver
know?
level. Well, what happens is the campaign's divided up into 3 of these levels. It goes from copper to silver to gold. And when you get to different levels,
You're
the monsters kick up a
dangerously
notch.
close to being 2/3 of the way
Yes. You wouldn't- No, that would be 2/3, 1/3 of the way done. The end of copper. There's a whole silver section, and then there's a gold section.
done. We're dangerously close to being done with the first third.
But the heroes are going into their first rumor dungeon, which is kind of neat. So we're excited about that. For those of you playing Descent.
Yep. Give yourself an achievement for that.
I will take that. It's been a lot. We've been a lot of fun with that game. Now also got to play some Warmachine.
This is where Rafe comes in.
It is, even though Rafe's not here. I played Rafe.
Wait, dude, I played Warmachine.
You can do better, Rafe.
Dude,
Is the
isn't
best
there
you
a
can
lot
do
of
in Hollywood?
dude?
It's some dude.
Dude,
All right. So
I totally played Warmachine.
That's not what he sounds like. You're not doing a great job. All right. Anyway,
I'm not even trying. I don't know.
I don't know how to do him either. He's okay. Anyway.
He's unique.
Right. So Rafe and I played Warmachine. I played my 750 point
Give
list.
Rafe an achievement.
Do for Rafe. And he played this his huge Cador list 750, and I was able to beat him. We played time games like hardcore, and I was able to beat him because we played a time game, and I played all KG and just basically beat him out in 50 points.
He gets frustrated with that metagame when you add that timing element in. And
Time
stuff.
throws him off. He popped his feet at the wrong time. He's a little confused.
I mean, he can get good at it, but he usually takes like a month of test games before he gets.
Well, that's why I'm trying to practice for hardcore because I'm not sure I'm going to play in hardcore yet. Depends on what happens to the war with the well anyway we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And also I got to play in a new game. We were hanging out at.
I'm very sad I had to leave early because I wanted.
We were
to
at
play
Dan's
this.
house chatting this weekend, and Craig had to leave, and so Nicole and I and Dan and his wife Sarah all played Pandemic,
which I've been very excited about.
which I'll take an achievement for that.
You
Pandemic is a co-op board game about trying to suppress global outbreaks of various forms of disease.
And how did you like it?
I liked it a lot. I think it's actually a really great gateway co-op game.
So elegant, simple rule set, not a lot.
Very
of
simple rules,
complex.
very elegant. What's neat about it is it's maximum 4 players, and there's nobody's a traitor or the bad guy.
Now that usually is a negative.
It is
you.
for me, and it still would be a negative for me in terms of I don't know if I'd always want to play this game with my gamer friends.
Gotcha.
But it's great in a mixed company game.
Yep.
And what I liked about it too is there's 5 different characters you can play, but only 4 ever play at a time.
Yep.
And the characters are very, very different, and they're all unique, and they need to be involved to beat the system. And depending on which if a certain character is out, it'll make it a whole different game because what you can do or can't do is restricted.
Gotcha.
So it's really interesting. I think we'll have to do a review of that game sometime. It's fun.
I've been wanting to. I forgot to put a game down.
What'd you play?
Well, as you may or may not know, listeners, our intrepid listeners, the quote-unquote worst ice event in living memory occurred
yes.
in the Northeast this week.
It did, and it's been a rough week for us.
And it's been very rough. We've been out of power in the Wakeland compound, actually, because it's got its own unique power system run by something under the crust of the earth. I don't know.
It's It's the princess stove right here.
There you go. I don't know if they can hear.
We can turn that on.
We have good mics now. I'm not sure they can still hear.
There's the whistling.
We'll
All right, so go ahead.
You lost power for hours, right?
Yeah, well, not quite a day. Yeah,
right. Your brother John, however,
just got it back today.
And that is
Friday,
7 days.
So he had it. Yeah, so he had it out for 7 days,
6 days,
and he spent a large chunk of that time with us here.
Yeah. So
his whole family.
So I have a generator.
Yep.
And just for this northeastern experiences,
sort of events, right?
And so when something like this happens, and this is the first time since we bought the new house, which came with a generator, so I'm not pretending I have this kind of foresight. We actually became sort of a bunker, and a whole bunch of people came to our house until they had other places to go.
Like home,
or to play people who had full power, because a generator does not give your house full power.
No, it doesn't.
And so we had a whole bunch of people over, and a whole bunch of games were played, mostly by the kids. But we did get a game in of one of Karen's old favorites, Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Ooh, achievement.
And her, myself, and her dad, my father-in-law Bob, and my sister-in-law, our sister-in-law Laura, who is not generally somebody you'd consider a gamer. We all played, and she loved it. She wanted to play again. I was a little gamed out. I ended up being the traitor, and so Karen always gets a little upset when she's not the traitor. She kind of plays that game just so she can be the monster. But I was the traitor, and I was working with the Ghost Bride.
Nice. I remember that one. I played that
that's
version.
A good one. Yeah. So trying to marry one random member of the non-traitor player team. And it was amazing. It was awesome. I was in the perfect position and had the perfect things. I had the mask that boosts your knowledge, your intelligence, and I was right next to the safe and the vault room. So in 2 turns, I got 4 items.
Oh, nice!
And so I had a shotgun. I mean, I had the revolver. I had everything. It was crazy. And then I just hunted them down. I didn't even need the freaking Ghost Bride.
Nice.
I just hunted them down with my little boy with my little baseball cap.
So achievements for getting in your betrayal. So now, how about some modeling? Have you been doing any modeling?
You're up first.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked.
Okay then. Golly gee willikers.
It's getting late. Okay, let it go. I'm painting my orc fleet like crazy. I'm down to just 2 sails.
Right. So which I think, if you do the math, is probably more than 1%.
Maybe.
Because you've got here 99%.
Well, but most of the work's on the hull, though. If you count
no, absolutely, I agree. But percentages sometimes.
Although I think I am going to try to pin the guys on the deck.
Are you really?
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
Anyway, well, I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Now, up next for painting.
Yep.
I'm torn between. I should have mentioned this in the RTL part. We just picked up my Descent group. We picked up the new expansion to Descent.
Yep.
Which has Tomb of Ice, which adds some cool stuff. And if you're into Descent, the feats in there really help the heroes out. So if you find your heroes having trouble, the Tomb of Ice is nice.
I find the name of this creature very odd, considering it came in a box called the Tomb of Ice.
It is interesting because most of the stuff, like, it's like a frost dragon in there. Yeah. Oh, my favorite thing about that too, it comes with a game tile that is a stomach. And a creature can swallow you whole, and you go inside the stomach, and you fight your way out. Which is just any game where you fight your way out of a stomach
is good. Yeah.
Anyway, so the flame beetles are a model in there. And
beetles.
Yeah, well, the deal with these guys, and Ian's been painting up. Ian owns a completely painted set of all the Descent expansions except for the newest one. He's been working diligently to keep us up, which makes it so much fun to play with. We have to thank Ian for that.
It looks really cool.
Anyway, he was asking for tips on how to paint the flame beetles. So I think I might paint one of mine up to show him some techniques to do that, because it's kind of like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. You want the seams to be brighter than the higher level. You want armor carapace, sort of black armor over like red flaming inside.
I could do that for you.
Yeah, I know how to do it too, but we'll talk. And if it works out, maybe we'll do a bit on this painting. I'll do that because it's a neat technique.
It's a really neat technique.
And then I've got to paint my human fleet for Uncharted Seas.
Do. And
then I really got to get on Warmachine before TempleCon gets here, which is, as I said, about a month away, depending on how you do math and dates. Right. And which Julian calendar you use, details.
There's more than one Julian calendar. I'm Russ. I'm going to throw out a random term and assume nobody's going to call me on
some
it.
Of them have to do with French fries, okay? So
Julian fries. Oh, you
I got to get that in there. All right, so we need Rafe here to moderate us.
He's a regulator.
It's falling apart. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be working on after my Beatles.
Currently, I'm lost for projects because I finished all of my Uncharted Seas stuff. And
Aren't there more boats to get?
There are more boats to get. Yes, that's why this is a weakness of getting on the ground floor of a small company game.
Yeah.
I'm desperate for all these cool new boats. I would probably have spent $50 to $100 by now over the past 2 weeks if it was at the store, but it's not, and Karen doesn't understand. She's like, another thing about the ice storm is that my school is being used as a shelter, so I've had the entire week off.
Nice.
And no, it's not nice because we're falling behind. We're trying to tear down the set. Although the Christmas concert that we were trying to tear down the set for has been canceled. So that works out a little bit. But my problem is that, so I've got all this free time and I've got no painting project. And Karen's like, why can't you just do something else? It's just like the muse, but we don't have Rafe.
It's okay. Keep going.
It's okay. Yeah. So it feels, I'm really getting frustrated, and I don't want the Uncharted Seas wave kind of. You want to surf your excitement, and I feel it starting to catch up to me.
Yeah.
And if it overcomes me, and I still don't have anything to work on, I'm just going to end up going to the next thing.
No way, man. That's what we're trying to do at TempleCon event. Keeps us focused through February.
I know, but I'm nervous, and I'm also
you can't get over the wave. I haven't even started playing with you in earnest yet.
Yes, I know.
The orcs are done. The humans are coming.
Well, that could be also.
You were so hosed when I got on the table. I want you to forget the rules so I can come in and just dominate.
Right. Okay. That's another problem I'm going to have because I'm going to Boston on another theater trip this Tuesday, and then I'm going to be in Europe. Which I want to talk about also. But anyway, and so I'm looking to build a second Uncharted Seas board for an unnamed local gaming store.
Cool.
Yeah.
Or me.
Or you. I haven't decided yet which.
All right.
Other news.
All right.
Rafe's been baking bread.
What?
Not really. I just.
Oh, because you didn't have a cookie?
Right.
We need a random Hollywood comment? Is that what it is? Baking bread now?
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
All right.
Stony.
No.
He almost always says something about Stony.
Start talking about... Oh, okay. Let's talk about other news.
Okay.
So I've been playing some Fable, and I have to thank Todd, who is an Xbox Live friend of mine, for jumping on and just giving me $1 million in Fable and leaving. So I've got like $1 million gold. I'm going to go buy a castle. Maybe half the land in the game. If you own enough of the land in the game, they elect you king.
Oh,
it's
really?
Fun. Yes,
cool.
I'm going to work on that next. I feel a little guilty because I didn't really earn it myself, but it's all right.
Not that guilty.
Well, you only have too much time to game, so if someone can give you $1 million, hey, what the hell? Mm-hmm. Been playing some War. I got into 2 large, really big Warband raids. In War, they've kicked up the open RVR a little bit. They've
What do you mean kicked it up?
Well, the thing is, you can play against. When they say RVR, they basically mean player versus player, right?
Yeah.
So they have these little scenarios you play in, and the scenarios are sort of efficient and fast, and no one was playing in sort of these open RVR areas in the world where there's these themes and things. So what they've done now is they've added this influence to those, so you go in there and do enough of that, you get cool loot.
Oh,
basically.
Cool.
So I've been doing that. That's been fun. So that's what I've been doing, and then of course I've been playing in your Serenity campaign.
Yes, the Serenity campaign is up and running, and I finally got your email, which is cool.
Craig.
Yeah.
Craig, you know what I feel like?
What do you feel like?
Pizza. That was for you, Rafe.
Wow, the good one.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Missed that one.
Sorry.
So the crew is on their way to Deadwood, which is very exciting for me. Spent a lot of time and effort to build up Deadwood. And, I'll keep you guys posted as to what's going on, because right now they're just basically carrying a shuttle full of drunks down to a one-town moon.
Right.
And I'm writing up missions and scenarios for Uncharted Seas, trying to keep my excitement level up.
There you go.
And Russ has this thing that he created that he calls the X-Cam, which I want to talk about at some other point.
We should do a segment on the X-Cam.
We should, because it's a great...
cool
I
thing.
found it on my computer.
Babylon 5 was the original X-Cam. Uncharted seems to be a good one for it.
I'm telling you, man, I'm so wishing Babylon 5 was still...
we should do the cards for Uncharted Seas.
What cards?
Remember the descent card thing? The mission and the scenario, the map and the...
but there's no real...
Terrain, not enough terrain, though, really. Yeah. All right.
I love the idea that I have a great terrain generator that I came up with for Uncharted Seas, and I love it.
Let's do X-Cam.
But we'll do X-Cam. It's great.
We need more models with bigger point buys.
No, I know. But I've been working on that. And I am currently in reader's heaven where I don't have any models to work on. I'm doing great for books.
When you lose power for a week, you can just read all day.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I did. I went to the nearest town that had power, and I got a bunch of books. The latest Gaunt's Ghost books, Only in Death.
Are they good?
Which was awesome. It's
I like
it's
those
my
books.
favorite of the recent batch of books of his. It's an awesome ghost story. It's actually a ghost story that includes the entire friggin' regiment. It's awesome.
Ooh.
And Terry Pratchett's latest book, Making Money, which I just love. I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan, and I just love whenever he comes out with. I mean, it's not a new book. It was new in 2007, but it was the first time I saw it, so I was all excited. And we went and saw Australia because it was warm in the movie theater. And I liked it, and it made me think of all of our Podhammer friends and everything.
There you go.
And like, wow, they live down there, and it's like that. Well, not really, but it was like that 60 years ago, which is pretty cool. It's a really nice epic movie, which I say is a big, long movie with multiple plot lines and some historical background.
Not to be confused with the silly movie called The Epic Movie.
Exactly.
All right.
And then I was listening to This Week in Wargaming, our friend
Good podcast.
Troy and Zach's podcast.
Lots
which
of
I
ways
love.
to get
It's
good news
It is
fast,
a must listen to for me every week. It's the first other podcast I listen to, actually, and I enjoy it immensely.
I like it because they list a lot of really obscure games.
Yeah,
a lot.
exactly.
So if you're looking for things off the beaten trail, that's the place to look.
Chock full of detail.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's always a couple things that I know about that I want to know more about, and a couple things I've never heard about. They came to one conclusion this week that I really don't agree with at all. They're both big fans of Weird War 2 stuff, like Tannhauser but miniature game kind of thing.
Right.
And there's a game coming out that sounds awesome. What we looked it up. Was it Incursion?
Yeah.
Incursion.
We looked it up so you'd remember the name.
Yeah, I know. That was
effective.
Well, that failed miserably. Looks awesome. It looks kind of like a Space Hulk-ish game, but it's sort of Tannhauser-ish. So you're setting up the board with Space Hulk-like tiles, and it's...
Hey, Craig.
What?
You know what I feel like?
Shut up.
Waffles.
That's just sad. You're
I'm
so
trying.
bad at being
I'm trying
random.
really hard.
You'd be surprised, folks. You'd be
Not
very
logical.
surprised at
it's very hard to do what he does.
How difficult it is.
I don't even know what the heck he
to
actually
be
does
random.
do, but it's really hard to do that.
Ooh, that was...
No, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what he means. It's a certain je ne sais quoi.
Oh, and lay off the French, will you? Anyway, so it's this great game that seems like it's sort of a little bit inspired by Space Hulk.
Yep.
And it's a bunch of British and German soldiers, the British and American soldiers, excuse me. The Americans have some kind of World War II-ish power armor, and they're going in after this top secret Nazi.
How's that bad?
No, it sounds awesome, but their conclusion is that if it's as cool as they both think it is, no one will ever care about a Space Hulk revival.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that logic.
I have to disagree wholeheartedly, because if that logic followed through, considering how many Weird War 2 games there are out there, then I don't think there would be any Privateer Press or Games Workshop.
Well, not only that, but Fantasy Flight Games did the board game Doom.
Right.
Which is not dissimilar from a concept which you might call
Space Hulk. Yeah.
And Games Workshop did Heroes Quest, which is not dissimilar from Descent.
Right. But my thing is, I think there's a far great, they can totally still coexist. Exactly. But I just don't want some executive out there to hear This Week in Wargaming and decide,
because that's what happens.
Well, never mind.
They start listening to podcasts and going, let's change our entire corporate direction based on this one random guy.
What are you saying? We're not important? Are you saying we're not important?
Not as important as we think we are.
Well, that
is very
that
low.
still says a lot, because I think we're pretty damn important.
Yeah, not so much.
No? Oh, crap.
We're light entertainment. Not too horrible. Trying not to suck.
That's right. Oh, well.
All right. And
that's all I got. We
is
already talked about the power outage.
Yeah, so that's Achievements in Gaming.
You're listening to the D6 generation.
Need to add a big unit to your current force and don't feel like painting that many grunts? Or maybe you want to start a new army and really don't have time to paint it up. That's where PaintedFigs.com can help. For 3 years, their staff with over 20 years of experience in the industry have been providing gamers with high-quality, affordable paint jobs on miniatures from the most popular games, including Flames of War, Warhammer 40,000, Fantasy, Warmachine, Hordes, and even a variety of board games. Their full-service packages include the cost of the models themselves at wholesale prices, assembly, painting, and basing. Because they're able to get the models wholesale, you end up with a package appearing on your doorstep full of ready-to-play models at only the fraction over their retail price. Their name says what they do. PaintedFigs.com. High-quality miniature painting at the lowest rates on Earth, even with shipping. Be sure to let them know the D6 generation sent you. And now, what's in the news? Brought to you by Matt Rendar, who'd like to give a shout-out to his wife Diana and kids Kyle, Luke, and Savannah for putting up with his gaming obsession. Love you guys. Brood War Breakout. The expansion to Fantasy Flight Games' StarCraft board game, Brood War, has hit the streets. The expansion includes new rules, scenario play, new worlds, and more. The full PDF file is available for download from the FFG website. Memoir campaigning. Days of Wonder has just posted 8 new Memoir 44 Christmas scenarios on their website. In addition, they have announced a campaign book for Memoir that will include rules to play scenarios back-to-back and have outcomes affect those future games. Fans of the game should head over to the Days of Wonder website for all the details. Elves 3-point off the starboard bow! Spartan Games has posted preview photos of their upcoming elf ships for Uncharted Seas. The photos show nicely painted elven vessels that feature outrigger and catamaran hull configurations with glowing, magically powered energy spheres and weaponry. Check out the forums over at Spartan Games' website for all the details. Models travel in style and safety. By the time you hear this, a new website, battlefoam.com, should be live. Battle Foam is a company specializing in custom foam inserts for your favorite army transport. More details are expected in the near future. And that's what's in the news.
This RVR is going to be great. I can't wait to show this Chaos Scum the bite of my Ironbreaker. Here I go. I've got him targeted. That Black Ark is moving way too fast. There's too many people on my screen for my ancient PC. Oh, no. I'm screen locked. Now I have to reboot. I'm just going to bed. Diddle-oo, diddle-oo, diddle-oo.
Don't grip your pillow at night in PC frame rate paralysis. It's time to level up.
Level up? I can't. My damn computer's too slow.
That's the point, doofus. With a Doghouse System PC, you can have just what you need for the best in MMO play. Play your game at the highest settings, experiencing the very best frame rates available, and all at an affordable price. Now go back to sleep.
When I wake up, I'm going to www.doghousesystems.com. It's time to get in the house and level up.
And now for a taste of things to come.
An even playing field. A clear set of rules. And a good roll of the dice.
Dice are our vice. We are the D6 generation.
Hi, and welcome back. And today we're very excited to have on the show Grant Garvin. How you doing, Grant?
Doing great. Great to be
welcome
on
to the show, Grant.
Very excited. Now, Grant is Grant. What exactly is your title involved with TempleCon?
I am the TempleCon convention director, which I guess in most convention circles that would mean that I am the guy that pretty much is the go-to guy.
Big Cheese, the head honcho, number one guy.
The head honcho, yeah. But in this case, I wear a lot of hats. I mean, right. I'm also the TempleCon terrain builder, the TempleCon email answerer, the TempleCon. Yeah, the list could go on and on and on.
Does anyone call you El Jefe?
The title gets a lot longer. What was that?
Does anyone call you El Jefe?
Not yet, but I'm looking for someone. Okay. We got to hire on someone.
We're going to send you
who
a
has that job. That'd be great. I'm gonna look around for a volunteer.
See, there you go.
So we'll get more into TempleCon in a bit, but first we have to establish your gamer cred.
Sounds good.
So how long have you been involved with any form of gaming there, Grant? How'd you get started in gaming?
It goes way back. I mean, I have to. Let me see. I started gaming in 1985 with BattleTech. BattleTech was my first game. A lot of people got into gaming at D&D with a gateway drug. For me, it was BattleTech.
BattleTech, that's pretty hardcore for a starter.
It's pretty hardcore, especially for like a pretty young kid too. So
sure.
It's 10 years old playing BattleTech with some guys. And I don't know if you've met BattleTech players. I'm sure you have. They're pretty hardcore.
We've been BattleTech players. In fact, when you were 10, did you ever beat Russ?
I've colored in my share of little BattleTech circles.
I might have played them at some point. But no, I was pretty hardcore into BattleTech for a long time. That was my game for years, and then later on I got into D&D, and then of course there was the great Magic the Gathering addiction that came after that. So it's been quite a few years of gaming.
Now, what is of all those games you play, what's your favorite? Is there a particular genre you go back to a lot, or do you find yourself switching? You went to the you were into sort of a hex-based BattleTech detail game, then you went into the collectible card
or
game.
Are you a gamer's gamer?
Right.
Yeah, that's and this kind of feeds into TempleCon too. I'm one of those people that's I don't really stick to one genre when it comes to gaming. I like them all. I appreciate board games. I appreciate historical games. I appreciate CCGs. If it's something interesting, if it's well made, if it looks like a great game that I can get into, great backstory, great production quality, it doesn't matter what genre it is. I'm going to probably check it out, and if I have the time, invest some more time in it and get into it. These days I obviously have a lot less time to game, ironically enough, than I used to in the past.
Sure.
But it really, no matter what genre it is, it definitely interests me.
Excellent. Now, how did you get involved with the idea of TempleCon? Were you on the ground floor? Did you come in later? Or how did that work?
I was in the absolute ground floor. I was one of the founders. In fact, I've actually been staff for a lot of different events and conventions for years now before TempleCon.
Oh, so TempleCon was not your first convention?
Nope, TempleCon was not my first convention. I organized events at other conventions. I ran stuff at Gen Con for a while too.
Oh, wow.
Did some stuff at Dragon Con very briefly. I've also, and then after that, I went on to the convention vending circuit with Simon, who is the other TempleCon founder. We did a lot of vending around the New England area at various sci-fi gaming conventions, and pretty much anyone you could look at. So we've been involved in even the non-gaming conventional organization aspect of I've been coordinating for a long time.
So would you guys just say you're really kind of like pros by the time you got to TempleCon, or was TempleCon your first big
we're pro. I mean, you know what? I definitely wouldn't say we're pros because the first couple of years of TempleCon, I shouldn't say the first couple of years. The past 3 years of TempleCon, every single year has been a learning experience. Every single year we go into it going, we learned a lot from the year before, but here's all this new stuff that we're finding out now. And as the event itself is always changing, so we're definitely learning too, and it's always growing. And every time we think we have a handle on it, and we go, okay, we're definitely pros at this now. We're like crack at this. We are amazing. We can do it. This is no problem. There's always something that will come along that will show us that there's definitely so much more to improve on. There's so much more to grow, and that's one of the most exciting things about it. I think it's kind of why we still we devote so much time to it and still do it. It keeps it exciting and fresh.
Well, you mentioned how many things you've learned, and I kind of wanted to ask you, what's sort of the biggest surprise or lesson that you've learned while running these kind of events? What kind of like thing you learned you just never expected to see or learn about doing this stuff?
Well, there's a few of them. One is I'll definitely start with the hotel coordination factor. Just coordinating with the hotels, coordinating with the local venues. You from an outsider standpoint, if you go to conventions a lot, if you go to big events, go to big tournaments, a lot of times people don't really. I mean, and it makes sense because I before I started running a convention, I didn't do this myself. You don't really know the amount of people behind the scenes at the hotel that have to be communicated with before the event. It's literally at least a dozen people at the hotel at least that need to be in on what you're doing. And this can create, conflicts between staff. You have to deal with unions in hotels. That's one thing that we're learning this year. You have a union in a hotel amongst the staff that generally works independent sometimes of the management there. So you have to deal with that. And there's a lot of stuff that you don't have control over as an organizer. That's one of the bigger things.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing would be the amount of the trying to get gamers to actually play together nicely, because gamers all have their own personal biases. They have biases towards games, they have biases towards other gamers, they have biases towards stores. And when you run a convention, what you're doing in effect is you're bringing a lot of different gamers, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people together in one spot.
Sure.
And they're going to have to coexist mostly peacefully for the course of one weekend. So while you're organizing the event, you're bringing in all these different egos. You're bringing in people that are on your staff. You're bringing in people that are volunteering to game master for the convention. And in doing so, you're going to have conflicts. You're going to have people that have rivalries against other people, rivalries against other stores, rivalries against other games. And as an organizer, you have to diffuse this stuff. You have to make sure that none of that gets to the convention. That weekend, that stuff has to be taken care of.
Does this come out of like booth placement and whatnot, or people like get wild?
Some of it, yeah. A lot of it, there are actually people that won't run games in like the same room as other people.
Wow! See, I wouldn't expect that.
What kind of
and they'll tell you and when you talk to them, they'll tell you like these decade or more rivalries they've had with these other folks. Now, I don't like so and so because of this, and it is incredible. And that's something that we had no idea that was really the case. I mean, everyone, including you, we all know as gamers, what gamer drama is like and local store gamer drama. We all know that happens, but we had no idea how far-reaching it could be in some cases and how much it can affect an event if you don't diffuse those little cliques of people that will show up and try to make it solely their event or take over other events or badmouth other people. And that's one thing that really took us by surprise. We had no idea that was the case. So that's a big challenge, and it always is every year. And the cool part about it is, if we play our cards right, if we communicate well enough, sometimes TempleCon has actually been a catalyst for healing some of these rifts. So
that's good.
We definitely feel good in that regard. But man, it did really that caught us off guard.
Yeah, I would say that would rankle me if I had to deal with people like that in a way that obviously you have to try to accommodate them or they're just not going to do what you need them to do, but at the same time there's got to be some small element of you that just wants to be petty.
I'll tell you right now, the first impression is to tell them to yeah.
But exactly. But
the first instinctual impression is really just to go, I don't need this crap.
Exactly. That makes you human.
Right.
But what makes you a good organizer is the fact that you don't give into it.
Right. You resist the temptation.
Really, there have been years when we've said to ourselves, late in the wee hours of the morning, we're dealing with strings of emails of people. I'm going to require this. If this person shows up, I don't want to have my table there. And
right.
What do they think? They're like a big rock and roll band.
That's right.
This is my rider, Grant.
No, you know what? We refer to it as the rock star mentality.
Really? That's what it sounds like.
Do they request a jar of only pink M&Ms in their room?
It is akin to that. There are some people that when you get organizers in that run a lot of events at big conventions and everything else, they look at you as especially when you're starting off at this event, we don't see this too much anymore because we've kind of gotten a little bit more established. But the first year of TempleCon, you bring in organizers and they give you a list of demands that reads akin to something you would see in a backstage room at a concert. It is I require a pitcher of water at my table. The water must be this temperature.
Really?
For
tea Earl Grey hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is real. And then of course, if they hear somebody else is at the convention that they don't like, you got to do something about that.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's really in a nutshell. It's all about the egos. You're dealing with a lot of egos, a lot of people who need to find a way to play well with each other.
So you get like a lot of people like Russ then.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Russ in Hollywood. Not like me. Not like
you at all, no.
Not like a shy retiring type that just wants to be creative and just wants to help. But these two, woo!
So hotel staff and gamer drama.
Gamer
that's
drama.
Interesting. That's really interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Gamer drama.
That's a cool
angle.
one. Yeah, that's really good. So let me ask you this. So how do you go about starting a convention or building a con from nothing? I mean, you just wake up one day and go, tomorrow we're going to have a con, there'll be 5,000 people there. Let's go. Do it. How do you start this thing from zero,
Yeah, well, the way that we started TempleCon, TempleCon started from a group of people, a very small group of people that were regulars at other conventions, both local and national. And it was specifically a lot of people who were very creatively minded, kind of, artistic, I guess that's the word you say, that went to a lot of cons and said, you know what, there's kind of something, we're going to these events, and, we feel that we're missing something there. There's just an element to it that's not there. So that's the first thing I think that you need for anyone starting a convention or anyone starting a major event needs to crystallize in their mind. They have to be able to bring something to the table that they feel is lacking from other events. And once you have that, then you have a goal. Then you actually have something that you can reach out for. You have something you can recruit people around you, both in your local gamer circles, your national gaming social circles, your people who aren't even gamers in some cases. You at least have a goal at that point to strive for. If you just decide to wake up and go, you know what, I want to start a convention, you're not going to get too far with it if your goal is simply to start a convention, because that's not really a goal. Your goal has to be to offer the community something, and it's got to be something for the community. That's the one thing too. To really start a con, you have to have that community thing in mind, because it can't just be about your local store. It can't just be about your local play group. It's got to be about something much bigger. Even on a regional level, it has to be something that's much bigger, and you have to be accepting of people who you probably have never met. So you have to have that definitive goal in mind that this is how you're going to start things. And then the second step, and this is really the most important thing that I can, that I'll definitely say, the second step is you need either yourself or you need people around you to be very realistic when it comes to funding, when it comes to money, when it comes to funds, because conventions are very expensive to run. If you look at the numbers just on the face of things, it might seem like, oh, hey, we can swing this. This isn't that bad. But I guarantee that by the weekend of that convention, it will cost far more than you have ever expected. So you need to have a great handle on just the logistics of running a big event. That would be the starting element to it, definitely. So.
Now, what was the hole that you and your friends saw that you decided was going to be filled by TempleCon?
It almost harkens back to what I was just saying about the gamer drama and the cliques. We saw a lot of conventions that you walk in the con. This even goes for big cons. You walk in the convention. You get your badge. You'd go into a room where there'd be multiple events going on or casual play or whatnot. And what you would see is groups of gamers who came together to the convention in a group, playing their favorite games by themselves at tables. Or you would say you would see groups of gamers that would come in, play in tournaments, never really interact with the people they're playing with aside from kicking their ass,
right? Or
get their prize and leave. And we saw this over time and time again at conventions. I'm a pretty prevalent Warmachine tournament player, so I played in the big events of Gen Con, I played in the big events of Dragon Con. We saw it there too, and it's like there's something very impersonal about it. And we kept leaving these cons, we kept working these cons, running events at these cons, and go, well, why is it that sometimes we're more fulfilled running a local regional event, playing in a local regional event, than we are going to a big convention? What is it that's not working here? And what we came to is that a lot of these conventions get people come in their little groups and cliques of friends, and they're never really encouraged to seek out new people, seek out new friends, seek out new games, because the convention really doesn't offer any incentive to do that. A lot of conventions charge per event, so if you want to play in an event, you got to put some money down to play in the event. And if someone's not played a game before, what are you gonna pay for something you don't know if you're gonna like? So we think little things like that really take away from the community aspect. And the other thing is that we saw a lot of conventions really didn't have any sense of atmosphere. There's no real, it's just gaming. There's really no overall atmosphere. There's no theme. There's no party vibe going on. So,
I noticed that definitely at TempleCon 2008, that, the steampunk theme. You can see it on your website. You can see it on your notification emails. Did you always have the steampunk theme from the beginning, or has there been different themes and you sort of gradually migrated to steampunk?
The steampunk scene actually started in 2007, which was a year after which was our second year. The first year we didn't have the theme at all.
So 2006 was your first year?
2006 was our first year, yes.
All right.
But yeah, the steampunk theme came in 2007, and very on a very testing the waters type of scale, and it was really popular. So in 2008 it grew, obviously, and in 2009 it looks like it's going to be a definite big year for that, because what we found out is, fans of the whole steampunk genre ourselves, there's a huge steampunk steampunk scene, if you want to call it that, both in the area and national area now. I mean, it's really hot, and there's also a lot of crossover with gamers, and there's also a lot of crossover with a lot of the games that are popular at TempleCon.
Yeah.
So it really fits TempleCon well. It wasn't just something we just decided to tack on. It actually kind of blended itself into the con, because, I think even in 2006, a couple of people showed up for the Warmachine tournament with some, Iron Kingdom's garb on. So we, I kind of went, at first it kind of caught us off guard, so we weren't trying to be, like a costuming, fandom type con. But then we said, you know what, we can do this, and we can still make it work without it turning into a complete freak show.
And that's the challenge, really. Once you bring those costumes in.
Oh, I know.
I thought there were some very creative costumes, though, and it was cool because a lot of people wearing the costumes, you saw a lot of that steampunk stuff, and many of them weren't gamers. They were just there to be able to say, hey, I can finally wear my steampunk,
Yeah, I saw,
wings and not look like a,
exactly. Those wings.
The wings and the goggles. And I thought it was pretty cool. A lot of work goes into those things.
Yeah. Definitely, and then that's something we try to build on too, because one thing you find out early on is that you can just target the gaming community, you can just target gay gamers, you can just target people who game, and that's fine. But there's definitely a ceiling to that. So you need to kind of blend in other people who might not be diehard gamers that show up, and because of the steampunk theme or because of something else, and when they show up, what oddly enough, what happens is these people, if they weren't gamers before, they start getting into games. I mean, we found, especially in 2008, there were a lot of people there who were just into the steampunk scene, into the costuming scene. We had some people who showed up for the horror movie marathon that was going on in the con suite, that really aren't big gamers, and they came down. They saw what was going on with the Warmachine. They saw what was going on with the 40K. They went to the land room. By the end of the weekend, a couple of these guys walked out with a signal and a quick starter box. It's really surreal to see, how this works, and it makes us feel like that whole sense of community that we're trying to create with TempleCon is actually working. So
that's great. So you had this idea for the con, you had the idea for, you wanted to have that, and you wanted to have the sense of community, and you held your first one in 2006. And how did that go? Did the 06 con, did it exceed your expectations? How did it do?
Yeah. It went very well. We had the numbers we brought in for a first year con were, way over what we expected. We honestly expected that 50 people were going to show up.
Right.
We thought it was going to be like, okay, we'll get some people in here for a Warmachine tournament and some Magic, and we'll see where it goes from there. We had about almost 200 people. It was like, it was a very, very good showing for our first year. It was a big learning year. It was a learning year of both how to run a convention, how things work behind the scenes, how to coordinate events, and how to work with people on staff, how to choose volunteers, how to have people who come to you and go, I want to be part of this, how to actually best use them. That's what 2006 was all about. And that was, it was a big, 2006 was a big learning experience. It was a big, the time we asked ourselves, are we going to continue with this? And after 2006, it definitely proved to us that we were. So.
Now, what was the venue for the 2006 con?
2006 took place at the Holiday Inn, which is
so a little more standard.
It's down the street from the Billmore. It's called the Hilton now. They've since changed names. It wasn't anywhere near as upscale as what we moved into now.
That's where we're headed.
Well, it's interesting because 2006, our first TempleCon visit was 08, right? Which is only 2 years after.
Right.
And it was a much bigger venue, so you guys grew fast, obviously.
Well, no, I think the key thing is the class and scale of the venue.
Right.
Because the Holiday Inn is what you'd consider probably a standard con venue.
Right. Little convention room in the back.
It's like a ballroom kind of thing. Tell us about your current venue, and because I think that's one of the many things that I think listeners would be intrigued by, because it was so different from your average con.
Yep, that's another thing about TempleCon that really we sought to do that we didn't see a lot of usual conventions that we went to. when you go to your average con, and this is understandable, I can't get on the case of any convention, whether it be national or regional, out there, because it's hotel space is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is just obviously maximize your ability to just break even. You look for the cheapest place,
right?
And usually that place is going to be a Holiday Inn. It's going to be a local Knights of Columbus, or it's going to be something that's of that caliber. And to me, when you go to a con, when you go to a convention, you're going to be spending the weekend in a place that is going to be out of the ordinary. That's what it's going to be the experience. Because otherwise, just stay at home and play in the basement with your friends. Or go to your local game store. If you're going to be putting that time away, if you're going to be taking those days off of work, if you're going to be taking that time, you're going to want to be someplace that's just absolutely out of this world. You're going to want to someplace in some place that has all these amenities. That's completely, a different experience. And we've had other organizers. We have organizers that came to us in 2007 when we decided to go into the Westin, which is another very, high scale hotel in Providence,
mm-hmm.
who actually questioned us and said, no offense or anything, but isn't that kind of like expensive? Isn't that kind of like, it's a little out of the ordinary for a gaming con? And our response has been, you know what, we're trying it out because we think the venue's a major part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, as we were in 2008, we're in the Biltmore. The Biltmore is by far it's the best luxury hotel in Providence. It's honestly one of the top hotels in New England. It is a historical hotel with that fits our steampunk theme very nicely. It's got a lot of antiques. It's a beautiful place. Full mezzanine. The main ballroom is utterly
like
incredible.
Open double layer level,
and the view is crazy good from the top.
Oh yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah.
Now,
yep, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to follow up because now you're in the Biltmore. How did the you must have experienced some really solid growth in 2007 to be confident to move to that in 2008, right? So how much have you grown since 2006, and what's your current attendance now? Or what are you expecting? What did you get in 2008? What are you expecting in 2009?
In 2008, we got our attendance was just short of 700 people.
Wow.
We been pretty. Actually, it was around 663, I believe. We topped off at, which was almost a 200% person 200 person growth from 2007. And that's when we also ran into one thing we found in 2007 is we were running out of space.
Right.
So in 2008 we said, okay, we're gonna really have to look at a different hotel. The Westin didn't have enough space for us to continue to grow. We pretty much booked out every single function area that we could in the Westin in 2007, which wasn't a lot. It's a nice hotel, beautiful place, but it doesn't have the type of scope when it comes to major ballrooms like the Biltmore has. And 2008 kind of surprised us again because we didn't expect to have that much of an attendance jump.
Yeah, you guys had figured we kind of capped out the New England attendance numbers, right, or something.
Exactly. We thought we were going to level off at maybe 500 people. That would be as far as it goes.
Right.
And that would be fine. That's perfectly okay for a New England convention that's getting a lot of no notoriety in the area. We thought 500 people is where it was going to stand. But what kind of took us off guard, and we expected this to some extent, but not as much as it happened, was that it became more than just a New England regional convention because a lot of our numbers came from all over the country. We had people coming up from California. We had people from, as everyone, it's a famous story now in the TempleCon lore is, the folks from Alaska.
Yeah, I played him last year. That was awesome.
We had people from Japan.
He kicked my butt.
Wasn't he about 12?
No, he was not 12, and he did kick my butt.
That's what's Ross doing. He's probably listening to this, too. So. Also known as that guy from Alaska.
That guy from Alaska. That played a Kruger. That kicked my butt.
Yep.
He took you to Kruger school.
Emo last year. Very happy guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had folks come out from Japan. We had people from all over Europe that came out for this very event. Awesome. And that took us off guard because first of all, the first thing that took us off guard was that our hotel room block, which was sizable, got booked up in late December. It was completely full.
Wow.
So we didn't expect that to happen. Usually at a convention, you don't have a regional convention. You don't have your full hotel room block booked up until right before the con. So when we started to see what was happening, we were like, okay, it's going to be this is a little bit more than a regional event now. People obviously, like what's going on, and that's why in 2009 we've actually moved to a whole different part of the Biltmore. We're actually on the second and third floor now, so we have a lot more space, and the big ballroom, which a lot of people are looking forward to.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Great. So what was your number? Did you hit? What were the numbers for 08? Because I think was it 08 the 700 number?
Yes. What was that? Was that 663 total?
Wow.
Was around there. So that really took us off. It blew us away.
Right.
And we realized, and we knew probably on that Saturday of 08 that we were going to need more space because we went upstairs. We were looking at like the 40K event running on the mezzanine and went, oh man, these guys do not have enough space. We did not expect this to be this big. We're going to have to really expand. So that was a big thing for us. It falls under the whole it's a good problem to have category, but it's definitely something we've kept in mind for 2009. Going, okay, we heard you guys, and we know what you're looking for as far as space goes, and here you go. And that's it. We're expecting some big things in 09.
Well, managing growth is a very tricky thing, and it sounds like you guys are. Yeah. So, now let's start talking about what kind of things you actually run at TempleCon. And you'd mentioned that you try to make it sort of broad spectrum. And of course, the D6 generation, we talk about a lot of different kinds of gaming. Is there something there for everyone? What are some of the things you've run in the past, and are they going to be there again? And what are some of the new stuff you're offering in 09?
We are, TempleCon's a true multi-genre event, which means there's not a single genre that is not touched upon at TempleCon. One thing that we're definitely bringing in 09 and we're focusing on is we're focusing on bringing a lot of big exclusive events like qualifiers, big events run by companies who actually make the games. That's one thing we're focusing on at TempleCon specifically from now and in the future is that we want to work directly with the companies. Because they tend to bring, a huge amount of support to the table. They
lots of cool prize support too.
Very well, and people get very excited when they're going to an event where the guys who make the game are running it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one thing we're definitely working on. So some of the things you're going to see at 09 is you're going to see a lot of in the RPG category. You're going to see RPG games. One specifically is Unhulled Metropolis, which is actually being run by one of the developers of the games coming out from Seattle. Who is running? He's running the first time this adventure has ever been run before it goes into its own book for production.
Oh, cool!
He's running the full expansion for Unhulled Metropolis, which is a great steampunk game from EOS Press. And he's running it before it's actually even going to print, so people can come to the con and they're going to be able to actually play it before they can buy it.
Neat.
Another thing is that we have a big Flames of War qualifier that's going on for.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of guys out here that are excited about that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's being fully supported by Battlefront. There's a lot of people getting really excited about it. We have folks down in Newport that are building some absolutely incredible terrain for it.
Can't wait to see that. So
that's going to be something really, really, really big. And another thing we're looking at is we're bringing a whole set for if you're into video games, we have exclusive video games, a whole set of video game tournaments going on during the weekend for Gears of War 2. Nice. We're doing another Halo 3 thing. Gears of War 2 is going to be the really big thing this year. We're bringing lots of that stuff.
Right.
That's being fully supported now. And then of course you have to mention Hardcore from Privateer Press. Kevin and Dan are coming back. They're running, a massive hardcore event. We're looking to top Gen Con's numbers this year. We want the title. We want.
You think you have a shot of beating Gen Con's numbers for Privateer?
We are close. I have been talking to Hugh, who is he is a Warmachine go-to guy in the area, and Hugh has been based upon what we're seeing. We are gunning for that Gen Con title right now. We are gunning for that to actually beat out Masters with the number of unique Warmachine players during the weekend. And we are prepared to do that. We have the space and the terrain to do it.
Nice.
So that's the thing. We want TempleCon to be the place you go if you play Warmachine and you want to play, whether it be casual or competitive. That's where to go.
We have the never-ending struggle, eternal saga, going on there.
Yep, we have the never-ending struggle once again. That's coming into
which is a great way to play casually.
The VTES guys. I actually want to say something about Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. That is TempleCon's first big event.
Oh, really?
They have been the most loyal TempleCon supporters from day one. The Vampire guys.
Oh, nice.
So. They're definitely a great crew, and they bring people in from everywhere. They bring people in from Europe. They bring people in from Canada. They come from all over the place.
So you mentioned So you mentioned RPGs. You mentioned, of course, miniature war gaming. And I'm sure GW will be there in some. I mean, there's some GW folks.
We have a full series of events run by Manny this year.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, we have some other side events too that are going on. And this year, there's one thing. Big announcement here is that I walked up on the mezzanine at TempleCon 2008, and there were players playing 40K on tablecloths.
Yeah.
That makes me, that bothers me. I don't like to see anyone playing on felt. I think felt sucks. So this year, 40K, full terrain.
Wow.
40K, it's full terrain. So they don't have to look down and see the Warmachine players playing in the room below them.
Yeah, they were a little bitter.
The Privateer folks are having good fun. We had a lot of jokes about that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, man. So there you go. They're living full terrain this year. And
that's awesome. That's great. That's great news for the 40K folks. So you've got all the big miniature guys. What about board games? Now, Craig and I mentioned in our very first episode of the D6 generation, which is why TempleCon has such a near and dear place in our heart. One of the first games we reviewed was Tannhauser, which was introduced to us at TempleCon by you, Grant.
That's right.
Yes, yeah, and that's how I actually met you guys playing.
That's right. I played at Tannhauser. So what kind of? You have a lot of board game events going on this year?
Oh yes, we do. In fact, we have a whole new setup for the board games this year because we were told, a lot of people really latched on to the board gaming aspect of TempleCon in 2008. Honestly, in the past 3 years, board gaming was kind of like, it wasn't really the focus of TempleCon, but we decided in 2008 that, we were going to really bring in a lot of board game events. We were going to get people that are really excited about board games on board. So we ran a lot of events in 08. We had tons of people that gave us feedback after the event saying how much, including you guys, how much you guys enjoyed.
Oh, we loved it.
Yeah.
The board games at the con. So what we did this year is we got, they call it like they got some fancy ass name for it. It's a really big boardroom full of really cushy leather chairs and
nice.
a table.
Sounds good.
On the third floor, and we're during the weekend. This huge boardroom is going to be dedicated to nothing but board games.
Oh, you're not going to have a library.
We're going to have like 60 titles that are just going to be piled up around the room that people are bringing, and they're going to be able to play, and you're going to be able to walk in there and get a game of anything you want from those types of titles. Just take one off the wall, get your friends, play it, and there's going to be people in there that know how to play them all, so they can teach you the game too.
That's awesome. That's what Origins is famous for. So that's right here in Providence. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's great.
So you're going to be able to go and you're going to be able to pick up, pretty much any Fantasy Flight title you want.
Wow.
Things from Days of Wonder. Days of Wonder is one of our sponsors this year.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. So you're going to be able to go into the board gaming lounge, which is really what it is. It's going to be a lounge.
I'm telling you.
And you're going to be able to chill in there. Bring a drink in and look. Just go through this library of board games and play whatever you want. We're going to have folks in there that know how to play them all. So if you want to play something, you point it out. They'll teach you how to play. They'll start a game. You can go down in the con area, go in the con suite, pick some more people up, and go start something in there. And it's 24 hours. It's open all night. So you can go in there and just
I'm definitely
hang out.
Overnight. That's it.
Russ just got to chill down.
I'm getting the shivers, Grant. I don't even know what to do with myself. That's awesome.
So on top of that, too, we're going to have some actual events. There's going to be some actually events for board games listed on the schedule, too. Like Tannhauser is definitely one of those that we absolutely love.
Very steampunky, too,
There's probably a Risk event going on, a new Risk event, the new version of Risk that's going on as well. Yep. There's a whole bunch of other stuff these guys are doing. But, yeah, it's going to be I think it's probably the thing we're most excited about, the most exciting new feature about the con, because it definitely blends in with that whole casual party atmosphere that you saw at the miniature tables. We're just applying it to board games, where it's just, if you're going to a con, you shouldn't be under, a lot of stress to try to make your next event or like get here, get there, jump around. If you're going to go to a convention, you want to relax and play games. So that's kind of what we want to emphasize with that board gaming room. And there's going to be, the list of titles is going up on the website within the week.
Wow.
So if anyone's interested in that, be sure to check out TempleCon.org and check it out, because there's going to be a big list of games, and people are like bringing tons more too. There's probably going to be titles we don't even have on the list that are going to be there.
But this is becoming my dream convention.
Everyone got excited.
This is becoming my dream convention, though, because I can walk in, I can play a quick game of Warmachine in like the little casual venue.
Get your butt kicked by an Alaskan.
Right. Go upstairs, play a board game, a random board game, go over, play a video game, go back, play another board game, go downstairs, get my butt kicked by another Alaskan, and it'll be done. It would be wow, what a venue.
Yeah.
Man, and no pressure, Or I could play in a hardcore tournament and get my butt kicked by an Alaskan.
I think you should also say this year with more Alaskans.
Right, now with more Alaskans. So that's awesome. So you've kicked up the board games. It sounds like all the miniature war gaming and the other games are going up. Now, I thought back at the team tournament in the summer, you mentioned there's some other new stuff you guys are bringing to the convention. What other new sort of, what other kind of outside the box stuff are you guys doing at the convention this year?
All right, well, this is I'll let you guys into something that's very outside the box. It really is something new for gaming convention in general, and people are all into all very excited about it. One thing we're doing is during the hardcore event in the main ballroom, in the garden room on the second floor, after the second round, when usually you have your standard lunch break, we decided, you know what, lunch breaks are kind of boring because, people are still, they just kind of mill around and they do stuff. Well, what if we, started coming up with some other ideas for entertainment during it? Why should the Super Bowl be the only thing with a big halftime
show? No.
So what we're doing is this year, once the lunch break starts, we are bringing on stage, we're starting off with a steampunk-inspired performance by the Ocean State Circus performers, who are going to be up there doing a crazy warjack steampunk-inspired circus performance. And that's just now that's just going to be to start things off, because after that, then we're going to have renowned belly dancer April Scheil do a steampunk-inspired performance after that.
Will she have a wardrobe malfunction? That would be.
We don't know. She is a professional though, so it's doubtful.
Well, so is Janet Jackson.
Steampunk.
And then after that, we have Kaya Morningstar, who's another belly dancer in the area, who will be doing a full show, and all in a wonderful steampunk burlesque type of motif.
Now, you're doing this for gamers, right? So at least half your audience has never seen a woman in this particular state of disarray.
We're trying to introduce them to it. We want to be like the gateway drug.
Yeah.
That,
will there be
experienced yet.
Are you going to have
we figured hey, this fits right in. So
are you going to have medical professionals on hand? Because there will probably be
we've
some
actually trained
coronary
our
issues.
Security and CPR.
Good. Okay, good. As long as you're taking precautions.
Because we know there's going to be some problems.
This is great. You're going to have a whole year's worth of material for Do You Ever Notice after this event?
Oh, I think I will.
And the minute we kind of let the cat out of the bag, it's funny how that actually came out. It came out this past August when somebody came on our forums, and we have a thread in the forums that basically starts off with, what do you want to see at TempleCon? Tell us what you want to see. And one of the first posts in the thread, these big capital letters, I want to see dancing girls.
There you go.
And then smiley, and then smiley face at the end of it. So, Simon, the creative director, she gets on there. She's, posting on the forums. She's like, well, you might actually, get that.
Get your wish.
And the guy was like, what?
No way. That's awesome.
And then I came on and I said, what? It's actually a possibility. And then after that, everyone freaked out. So then word started to get to the Privateer Press forums that they're getting a halftime show for hardcore. And that's kind of where the thread went after after that part.
I see your strategy and how you're going to beat Gen Con here. This is very clever.
No kidding.
Well done. Very outside the box thinking.
That is outside the box.
Well, that's actually another point of TempleCon that I didn't even touch upon. Is that at least half of our staff is female. So they're all female gamers, and there's a lot of female gamers out there that we've talked to, we played with. They do exist, friends. They do exist. That don't go to conventions. And they've told us straight out, we do not go to gaming conventions. I will not show up at a gaming con. I've tried it in the past. I don't even want to go to my local LGS, but I definitely will not go to a convention.
Right.
So we asked them why. Like, why wouldn't you go? It can't be that bad. I mean, there's a lot of well-adjusted gamers out there, and they told us straight out that the amount of crap that you've gotten in the past at gaming cons. From,
look, a girl!
It's a girl! It's just not worth it's not worth the hassle. So, that's what we've kind of tried to do with TempleCon too, is make it more of this atmosphere where it's not really so much for gamers, it's for people who game.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people out there that, they're gamers, but they have other lives outside of gaming. So we want to go, hey, you know what? We're having a convention that really accepts you guys too. You can come and just have fun, have a drink, relax, chill out. You don't have to be going 24/7 unless you want to.
Right.
And what that's done what we saw in LA too is what that's done is it's made a lot of the female gamers, more apt to show up and hang out and go, hey, this is actually a cool environment. I don't feel creeped out here. So, that's actually partially why we're doing that kind of thing at 09 too. We're having, shows, we're having, stuff where, there's like a whole costuming panel too, steampunk costuming panel that people are going crazy about right now. We're all excited about that.
Cool. Now, steampunk costumes, does that preclude chainmail bikinis or?
No, chainmail bikinis can be steampunk.
Okay. Well, I wanted to go to the professionals. They need to be made
out of brass, and quite honestly, you just put on a pair of goggles and you're all set. So,
is there a lot of debate about the exact definition of steampunk amongst the judges in these scenarios?
Oh, there absolutely is.
Oh, yeah.
Steampunk ranges from everywhere from 1850s-esque Vernian era stuff to all the way into the early 40s, which actually would be referred to as diesel punk. Which
right.
TempleCon does too. We definitely have like a diesel punk theme. That's
so Tannhauser would be kind of diesel punk. Then you're saying
Tannhauser is definitely diesel punk.
Right.
Any kind of World War I, World War II type of high fantasy type of motif is definitely diesel punk.
I'm now going to put you on the spot, Grant. Here you go. You ready?
Sure. Go ahead. Sounds good.
Is Warmachine or is it not steampunk?
Warmachine is not by definition specifically steampunk.
This is my neener moment.
No, Matt Wilson already said it's not either, so I was already shot down on that one.
There is a specific, it's specifically why Privateer Press refers to it as Full Metal Fantasy.
Right.
It's because there's a lot of people in the steampunk community that believe once fantasy elements are added to steampunk, it's no longer steampunk.
Right.
To me personally, my own personal viewpoint, I think that's kind of splitting hairs. It's got big robots. The robots run on steam. It's got spiky hair and goggles.
Well, it's kind of like the idea between sci fantasy and sci fiction. Oh yeah,
exactly.
But
you got it.
Like Star Wars is not sci-fi.
So,
okay, fine. It's got spaceships and lasers. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. I think from if you really distill it down, if you distill it down purely, it's not going to be 100% exactly what the diehard purists refer to as steampunk, but it still has steampunk elements, and it still definitely fits in with a steampunk theme. So.
Sure.
People are going to know what you're talking about.
Right. Big guys.
Exactly.
So, Grant, we're running out of time here, so I want to make sure you get in all the details about your convention here in 2009, TempleCon. So, it's in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yep.
Obviously, at the Biltmore. Now, what are the dates? And
the dates are February 6th through the 8th.
Okay.
3 days, Friday through Sunday.
And where do they need to go to get more information and sign up?
That's the most important thing.
You go to www.templecon.org. That's TEMPLECON.org. O-R-G. So go there, check out everything we have on the site. We have our first incarnation, our little preview schedule that's going up very soon, so you're going to be able to actually check out the specific events that are going on up there. You can look at photos. Definitely check out the forums. We have a really active forum community where people are posting constantly. We also have a newsletter called the TempleCon Wire, which goes out just about monthly when I'm not up to my ears in convention stuff.
Yeah, I just got mine.
I got mine.
So, definitely check out TempleCon.org.
I have a question.
All right.
Sure.
Where did the name come from? TempleCon.
The name, we get asked this a lot. The name comes from a bunch of things, but one thing that it comes from is that back when we used to run events at conventions, we were called Temple of the Night Studios. We actually even started to publish a game back in 1998 under that name. So Temple of the Night Studios was kind of what we were known as in the area. So when we started TempleCon, it was naturally, it's TempleCon. The other thing too is that we kind of look at the word temple in a non-religious viewpoint. We look at it in the kind of the ancient viewpoint where it's this common ground for everyone to come and do battle. This common ground for everyone to come and exchange thoughts and ideas and everything else. So it's kind of a temple in that regard. So that's where the name comes from. That's the whole story behind TempleCon.
Gotcha.
Right, sort of like the religious blood sacrifices of the Aztecs. On top of the temple there. Yeah,
I think you said divorced from the religious element.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Coming in 2010.
I want a step pyramid and open heart surgery on the top.
Right. Well, thanks so much. And Grant, as you know, we mentioned this before the show, off the air, but TempleCon has a special place in our heart at the D6 generation because it was on our way there that we thought of the podcast, right? So
it's absolutely great to hear that, and I'll be listening to you guys as I'm going through the next few weeks of crunch time when it comes to
see, there you go.
Great.
getting this thing take together. I got a ton of terrain to build.
Oh, I'm sure. I know how that feels. And it was that game. It was that game of Tannhauser that did it. Actually, we actually planned out the review of Tannhauser on the drive home.
Yep.
Wow.
That was talk about pinpointing the moment of conception. Although when I talk about that with Rafe and Russ, it gets a little more.
Let go.
The analogy doesn't really carry that far. But anyway, that was awesome, and we're really looking forward to it.
We'll definitely be there.
We got a bunch of listeners that are going to hook up with us on the way when we get there too, and it's going to be very exciting.
That is awesome.
So, Grant, thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye,
Talking to you guys.
I'm Rafe Hollywood Granger, and this is the Hollywood Minute. Thanks for supporting the show. Brought to you by Chris. So, are you like me? I have one friend stranded on Dalaran in WoW, that's the World of Warcraft. I have another friend stranded on the Gorfang server in War, and I have old friends on the Landroval server in Latro. So every time I'm enjoying myself in, War, let's say, I have a little guilt about my poor friend stranded all alone on Dalaran. And what about those cool new legendary weapons available in Lord of the Rings Online? What are those about, I wonder? And how about this new Death Knight I hear about everyone playing in WoW? I start to think that I want to play all three. But I'm convinced, no, I need one MMO, one character, one all-encompassing game that solves all my wants. I loved Latro for the community and crafting. I loved War for the RVR and the lore. And I love WoW for the quests and the instances. So where do I spend my $15? Sometimes I'm like, just play 2. It's no big deal. It's like, 4 cups of coffee a month? But my frugal side says no. I leak monthly fees all over the place. I have Xbox Live. I have 2 MMO accounts now. I have 2 TiVo accounts. That's a whole nother story. It seems everywhere I look, I'm paying fees. So, I obsess about having the second MMO. What am I going to do? Where's the perfect place to be? I don't know. Do you obsess about things like this, or is it just me? Let me know at hollywood@the d6generation.com. Thanks, and happy holidays.
All right, well, now we have a special treat. As I mentioned in my Jever Notice in episode 20, I was going to take a hit for the D6G team and read Twilight. And I needed to bring in an expert witness. So with me today is Nicole. Hello, Nicole.
Hey, I'm on the Big Boy Show.
You're
now.
on the big. You've broken into the Big Boy Show. And if you tell Karen, I think I'm probably going to have to pay for it
in
with
big
my
trouble.
life. Yes. Okay, so basically what I did, like a good little doobie, I went and I read the book like I was assigned to do.
Which impressed me, because I didn't think you would.
No, I kind of had to. I felt obligated after all of my students were reading it. And just a little bit of background for those of you who are wondering what this Twilight thing is all about. Stephanie Myers is an author, and this is her first novel, published in 2005, which comes in important later. So remember, 2005. Okay? It's a first-person narration by, obviously, the main character, who's a young girl named Bella, who moves to Washington State, falls in love with Edward, a vampire, blah, blah, blah. Much teen angst ensues.
That's very accurate.
Exactly. Despite the fact that the vampire is over 100 years old. That's the first thing. That was
my issue, my first.
Yeah, right there you're like, you know what? I'm creeped out when a 21-year-old looks at one of my 18-year-old students.
Yeah, just if you think a 100-year-old brain inside of that 17-year-old-ish body, that's just
yeah,
creepy.
So right there, okay, on page 450 or so, there's a brief fight, which Bella, the narrator, is mostly unconscious for, so there's really not a lot of detail, and there's a lot of debate, actually, over readers, amongst readers about what actually happens.
Right.
Like, did you know?
No,
is the bad guy dead?
I thought the bad guy was dead, but it wasn't really. It was one of those I honestly couldn't tell. Did they leave it ambiguous so that you'd really go, or did they just not write it well enough that you figured it out?
Exactly. Because I was convinced that it was supposed to be ambiguous because I remember them saying, he's been taken care of, and that was it.
Right. But that doesn't mean he's dead.
Right. But
Maybe
then
he's
but
tied
then
up in a trunk with
But
a...
then I've got these 15-year-old girls at school
He's
going,
dead.
"He's dead, Mr. Gallant. There's blood everywhere." I don't remember
Vampires.
blood.
I don't know. Was there blood? But even if blood
right.
means nothing.
It
That's
means
a good thing for
literally
vampires.
nothing. Exactly. So we both found that a little odd.
Yes.
Very little conflict. Then a battle. That would seem to me a flaw in a first-person narrative.
And I think the big thing is to point out, too, 450 pages
into a 500-page book
to get
basically.
to a 2-paragraph we have to fight him. Bam. Okay, he's been taken care of. It was such a letdown.
It was yes, exactly. However, in her defense, my very first reaction to this, because I came into this assuming I was going to hate the book, is that Stephanie Myers is not a bad writer.
No, the book is well written.
It is her word craft and word choice. Well, I've got a little word choice thing later, but her word choice primarily is really good.
Right.
I mean, it's clear, you know what's going on.
Right.
It's just so derivative. The characters are often engaging. The plot, what there is of it,
right,
is interesting enough. She portrays it well, but just to start to pick a place to start, if you flip any of the current trade paperback, and that's all you can get, hardcover and trade paperback, which again I'm going to address in a bit. If you flip it over and you read the blurbs, it's crazy that the bar that is set for this book on the back, best book of the decade so far
I don't
list.
know about that.
Best young adult book ever. I mean, it's crazy. And this is all stuff like Time Magazine and Newsweek Online.
The hype. And with the movie coming out, the hype was insane, which is also why I picked it up. Because everywhere you looked it was on. I'm like, well, this has to be good. It has to be amazing. And
well, now's as good a time as any to establish your bona fides.
Yes.
As a vampire
lover I love vampire fiction. I have read
I don't think there's a book that has somebody that bites somebody else that you haven't read.
That I have not read. Yes, so I've read a lot of vampire fiction, and I wasn't sure if that was a bad thing or a good thing. Because
I think in this instance, probably a bad thing.
Because shiny, happy vampires that glow in the sun was a little bit weird.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, too. But yeah, absolutely. And so, what is this book? What the book is, in my opinion, and I think Nicole agrees with me, is an adolescent girl romance novel featuring a vampire.
Yes.
I mean, that is exactly with
a very sort of honestly neutered vampire that doesn't is very vampire-y.
Exactly. And he's striving to be non-vampire.
He's striving to be non-vampire.
In a non-dramatic sort of way.
Right, in a very calm, cool, collected.
Exactly. There's not a lot of struggle, but you can tell because she tells you that he's struggling.
That he's struggling because he doesn't tell you that. So.
Exactly. But it is very much a romance. It is all romanticized. It's all about his glistening eyes and his masculine chest.
There's a little kind of a Fabio slot there where you expect to see him with
Fabio
his hair
with fangs.
Sort of flowing in the breeze.
Exactly. Right. You've got paragraphs and paragraphs describing Edward's muscular chest and his dreamy color-changing eyes, and very stereotypical teen girl angst plot devices.
It was, having once been a teen girl with some
which
angst,
I did not have that up. I didn't bring that to this reading.
Even I found it, I'm like, man, I think even for me it was a little much, and I'm not sure if I would have been also entranced with that at 16. Maybe if I was 12, I don't know, but as a teenager, I'm not sure.
But I mean, it's almost like she knew what she was doing, so she went in and she hit every button that these girls she hates Jim.
Right.
She's worried about her popularity. She has self-esteem issues. Is the really, really super handsome guy gonna like me? I mean,
they could have easily made him just a football player and put a Letterman jacket on him, and he'd have fit the part, and just made her the smart girl with braids.
Yep, you totally could have done that. You could make him the football player who may or may not have beaten a girlfriend in the past.
Right.
And then that's the whole book right there. Okay, the lack of depth of character development or secondary characters was huge for me.
Yeah.
Every one of these secondary characters is a cardboard cutout. The dad, oh, he's nice, but he's awkward. The mom, oh, she's flighty, but she's nice.
Yep.
There's just no depth. There's no secondary plots. There's just it's like it goes.
Well, and I thought it was weird. Her dad was so one-dimensional. It was like she ran the whole household, but he was
Right.
like a bachelor that lived by himself for years. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think he should be able to make some mac and cheese. I don't know.
Exactly. And he gave up mighty quick when it was like,
did.
oh, I'm going to go home. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fine.
I mean,
bye.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Very simple and contrived, all loose ends tied up ending.
Happy.
Just like, oh, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but let's just say teen angst novel, prom, right? I mean, really.
That pretty, right. So it ends with a prom, so you know how it ends.
It's just, okay. Again, I want to keep going back to that she's a good writer, because
It is. It's not like it's one of those books that's painful to read where you're thinking, oh my gosh, this just didn't make sense.
Right.
And
It's
that
a first
disconnected
novel.
From that. Right.
It's a very typical first novel. And if there wasn't a huge hype, and if it hadn't been used by the publishers the way it had been used, and ultimately, unfortunately, successfully, it would have been a debut novel that would have indicated growing talent. And I think she probably wouldn't be as rich as she is right now, but probably would have been better served from the posterity point of view.
Yeah, and from her writing chops,
exactly.
so to speak.
Exactly. So let's look at some weaknesses as I saw it. First, we've already talked about the lack of plot depth. One thing happens at a time, it's resolved, it goes on to the next issue. There's never she's never dealing with multiple things at once.
It's
other
like
than
one issue at a
I
time.
mean, high school and my boyfriend might want to eat me. Other than that, there's really
and the
not
high
a lot
school thing
going
is
on.
really, really like, oh gosh, I have a biology test. Darn, how am I
And she
going to
has
make
to
it?
study because she's
she
an
has to
honors
study.
level.
Yeah, they're very small little trials.
And I'm going to tell you this. I'm looking at all these girls reading it, and most of them are not honors level kids. But anyway. Okay, lacks character depth, stereotypes abound, but everyone ultimately is okay. There's a geek, but he's not too much of a geek.
Right.
There's a jock, but he's not that much of a jock.
No one's really a jerk. It's all, don't judge a book by
There's
its cover.
that mean girl, but really you find out that she's just kind of jealous, and she gets over. I mean, it's
all happy in the end, and they learn to like each other.
No
which
vampire.
Never happens in high school.
No vamp. Yeah, exactly. Never happens in vampire books or high school.
Or high school.
Okay, it totally. We just actually discussed this before we went on. Completely lacks suspense.
Yeah, none.
The premise is you're supposed to be afraid that at any moment Edward might just decide
lose
to
control.
just chomp on her neck and that'll be it. And you don't. There's never, for me anyway, there was never a sense of danger. There was never. I mean, and the way these girls talk and the way that it's written, like she's gonna expect you to just buy in. And I didn't buy in.
No, and I'm a fast reader. When I have a book that's got a good book and it really has some suspense, I can sit there and read a book this big in like a night. Like I'll start reading in the morning. By the time I go to bed, I finish it. It kind of took me forever in my terms. It was probably like a week and a half I had this book, and I never got like hooked. There was never a point where I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to be okay?
There's no impetus in continuing the story because you've read it all before. You've seen it in after school specials. You've seen the contrived Deus Ex Machina ending in action movies in the 80s. It completely lacks conflict. Other than the teen angst, there's no real conflict till the very end, and even that is quickly dispatched.
A paragraph.
Yeah, and exactly. To me, this is where I think you coming in as huge a vampire fan as you are is a huge detriment. Okay, so much latitude is taken with the vampire mythology, and almost all of it is so blatantly coming from a perspective clearly motivated by the need to make Edward suitable as a possible romantic hero.
Yes.
Anything that's going to avoid a vampire being able to be a romantic hero has been removed, and some explained away, and some just completely
removed. There's
removed.
nothing he can do that is evil vampire to make you think as a young teenage girl, gee, maybe this guy isn't the guy for me. Everything he does is so swoony and so cutesy and so... And I know it's geared towards a younger audience, but it's like, geez Louise, it's just...
But the killer is that they've taken so many of the weaknesses of the vampire out because, if he can't go in the sunlight, he can't be a pretend teenager.
Right.
So he can go in the sunlight, but when he does, he glistens like
sparkles.
quartz.
All I could think of was like glitter. I kept thinking of Star Trek when the little transporters. I was getting visions of that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that, so not, again... If anything, that makes him more of the romantic, quote-unquote, romantic hero, because in the sunlight, he glistens like diamond dust.
Like a god. Yeah.
I mean, it's over and over again, is he like a god?
She says it 100 times in the book.
Oh, he's like a god. Okay, Fabio with fangs is the only way to really, I mean.
That's perfect.
Like anything that would normally stop you from thinking, wow, that vampire could be a romantic hero has been removed. And it's just so much latitude has been taken. It's just, it bothers me a lot, and not a lot of it not explained away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now did you read the...
I have, and I agree with you. Go ahead, say what you're going to say, but more than that, I agree with you. So.
Okay, good. Okay, Charlene Harris is an author who wrote a series of books called The Southern Vampire Mysteries, upon which, and this is where I, because of a weird little Thanksgiving issue, okay, the HBO series True Blood is based on this book, the Suki Stackhouse books.
I haven't seen this series because we do not get HBO, but I've read probably, I don't know,
well,
there's
then
10
I have
books. I've read like 8 of them.
Are the books written like pornography?
No, and they're really not. They're not, Karen had said the same thing to me, and I'm like, no,
here's
it's not
the deal.
Really porn.
On Thanksgiving, Karen's father was like,
gosh.
"Oh, guys, have you watched True Blood?" And he explained the plot, and it sounded interesting to me, so we went over, we got a couple copies. we got a couple episodes, we brought it home. Oh my God. In the first episode, there's a videotape of just some of the most horrific sex acts imaginable and total nudity. And Karen and I are just like, oh. And in my head, I'm just thinking, my father-in-law recommended this. But so clearly that's not in the book, which is good. But
the books are not. There's a lot of other vampire books that are clearly much more on the pornographic slant than these. No, I wouldn't describe the books that way at all.
Not that that's a good or a bad, but that's just a side issue. Okay, so many plot elements and character elements as far as the TV show anyway.
Right.
Completely we won't say copied, parallel. Because there's no hate.
Parallel. There you go.
Parallel.
No hate.
Okay? And this is where we want to go back to the publishing date. 2005 for Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
2001 for, I can't remember the title, but the first of the Southern Vampire Mysteries books. Okay, let's look at...
I can't remember either.
It's something about being dead.
Any Which Way But Dead? No.
Yeah, no, but
it could
it's
be a different
like
vampire
that.
book. I think I just quoted.
I think it did. Or you could write another one. Okay. Got a vampire in love with a human.
Mm-hmm.
You got the vampire's not typical. He wants to live more like a human and not hurt humans.
Right.
Which is not typical of the vampires in either world.
Mm-hmm.
Your average vampire in Twilight
wants to have his first snack.
Exactly. And your average vampire in the Stooky Stackhouse books
wants to have your first snack.
Exactly. Okay. We have a human girl who's special in some undefined sort of way, although this now ties into the other one. In both books, you've got a character who can read minds without any real explanation.
They just, you have no idea. She just kind of...
No. Oh, in the Stooky Stackhouse, you got no idea. And in Twilight, there's some vague, like, oh, he must have been sensitive before... I don't know.
Yeah, there's a weirdness of how vampires are changed.
Okay. And the fact that you've got one member of the couple in each story can read minds, and coincidentally, the only person they can't read the mind of is the other person that they fall in love with.
That they're in love with, which is like, wow.
And that's stretching that coincidence
pretty
gene.
Thin. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then love triangle, and I quote love triangle because I haven't and won't probably be reading the rest of the Twilight
but they're
books.
So much better. Everyone tells me you've got to read it, and I can't.
The thing that I think is odd about the fan base, at least amongst my students, is that it's so fractured. I had the girl, I'm convinced she thinks that it's real, and she constantly asks me if I've ever killed a vampire. Now, I'm not going to talk about my past.
Greg, don't tell.
Yeah, I know.
There's a town in Washington that really is this town that supposedly now has this huge tourist influx
I don't
because
doubt
everyone's coming to see. And I'm like,
because on the off chance that it might be real.
That it might be real, and they're
exactly.
going to run into
now,
Edward.
This girl walked out of the
Happy
movie
Edward.
before it was done.
She
said it was so bad. Yeah.
You know what? I actually talked to a couple of moms who were huge fans of the book. Actually did love the book, and none of them liked the movie.
Yeah, see.
They all said the movie was just eh.
But then I've seen other of my students who didn't like the book who liked the movie.
See, so there's something different there that
it's weird. And then there's a bunch of kids who loved the first book, hated the second and the third book. There's a bunch of kids who thought the first book was boring and the second. It's just weird. It's a very fractured.
But you kind of do get that a little bit with any series. Like you'll find people who like one book more than the other.
But these are all what I would consider hardcore Twilight fans.
Yeah.
But they're like, then it's like they pick and choose. Usually, like if I'm a big huge fan of a book,
you love right?
Yeah, either. I mean,
Jim
there's
Butcher.
some
I
a
like
week.
Those.
Exactly.
Like,
there's not a weak one.
Books.
There's not a weak Jim
really
Butcher
good.
book. Exactly. They just keep getting better and better. So the love triangle, quote unquote triangle between a vampire, a human. And a shapeshifter. And that's important because it's in both, it's a shapeshifter, not a werewolf. Don't call me a werewolf.
Because there's a difference.
Werewolves are dirty.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's a difference.
And that's,
the same
to
thing.
me, again, very suspect that you've got that specific a triangle duplicated in both books. And I said I was going to come back to a word. This is where she lost me, and I have this huge pet peeve.
Uh-oh.
The pet peeve is anyways.
Ooh, it's
no
not
such word.
Anyway.
Anyway. There is no such word in the English language
Has
as
he
anyways.
mentioned he's an English teacher?
This bothered me long before I was an English teacher. I would say about 50% of my students come to me saying anyways, and I would say about 90% of them leave at least as zealous as I am about hatred of that anyways. And I try not to judge people, and there are teachers and professors and really smart people that say anyways. But you know what? If you're a wordsmith, if your job is the English language and you put anyways, then I feel perfectly justified in the cringe.
If you are writing, unless there's a really good reason to do it that way, because the character is speaking that way to indicate their background, you should not be using that word.
And that's not what's going on here.
Yeah,
so
my thing is that I did not catch that word. I think I glossed over that when I was not paying attention at the drama.
There you go.
But the things with it being so much like the Suki Stackhouse series, it's like a lot. I mean, a lot of vampire books have a human and then a vampire
right.
who doesn't really want to be a vampire and wants to be good, but they all have much more tension. Like it's much more dramatic. It's like here, his family doesn't want him to be involved, but yet they have a birthday party with pink cake and candles. And and most of the the family, whatever that might consist of, is not happy. They try to kill the person, or they try to kill him, and it's like there's just no. I think being a vampire fan, for me, I'm like, come on, let's give him some cojones. Let's have him do something.
And he has none. He is the typical pouting, romantic, again, quote unquote hero, all angst, no passion. And it's sad because these girls, they're growing up thinking that's passion, and they're thinking that's serious, and they're thinking that there's an Edward out there for them.
I thought it was a little disappointing that if you were reading it as a girl, it's like it's not even like I don't even know that he's a hero. The way he's just kind of a wimpy, wishy-washy guy who happens to be stronger than the guy he's fighting, and but it's not like he really does anything particularly heroic and risks all to save her. He keeps everything secret, so it's not like it never comes out.
No, exactly. So this is what I think happened with Twilight. Okay, Stephanie Myers wrote an okay young adult romance book as her first book, and it's great. It's fine for what it is. She sends it to a publisher, and their thinking goes like this. We're now dealing with an entire generation of young girls who grew up reading Harry Potter, okay? And now that's over.
Right.
So these girls don't have anything to read. And they're all right at that age where they're just starting to discover boys. We're talking the girls that grew up every summer. They went and they got the book.
The next one,
and they're reading at the dinner table. And like my friend and boss Brad, his daughter did the same thing. And I mean, we travel all over the world with them. And I swear to God, she's at the dinner table, no matter what country we're in. She's reading Harry Potter, and she loved it. And she's a genius kid, and I love her. But she's like devouring now. Nothing to read, right? So they've got, now these girls are just getting to the age where they like boys. They're starting to notice boys. So what if we take advantage of this opportunity to milk their parents for all they're worth? Have a character that's going through exactly what your stereotypical teenage girl thinks she's going through.
Right.
And that no one else understands. Mm-hmm. And, I'm ugly, boys won't like me, my parents are weird, the best looking boy in school will never look at me, literally, on both counts, because he is the best looking boy, because he's a god.
Yeah, he's a hottie.
And he literally can't look at her because she's his flavor of heroin. But anyway, okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's what they did. If you look at it, the marketing alone, the trade paperback and the hardcover, you don't do that unless you know people are going to pay the money and you want to get all the money out of them.
Yeah.
And that's why you see these displays of trade paperbacks, which are, for those of you who don't know, the trade paperback term means the double-sized paperback.
Right.
And you do it for a publicity stunt,
They're
generally.
like $13 instead of the mass markets, which are like $7 or something.
And you do that because you know somebody out there is going to buy it. And that's exactly why, most science fiction and fantasy is softcover, because it's a niche. There aren't generally enough people, except for the really popular authors, to justify that hardcover or the trade paperback. And so that's really, I felt I wasn't being manipulated because I wasn't the target market, but I was feeling that I was almost like I was reading propaganda. Okay. The writing's decent, but I was left with the impression that I was reading a blatant and heartless attempt to traffic upon the fears and insecurities of every one of my female students. And now with Edward, they're as a real male paragon, and many of these girls are never going to be satisfied with a real boy. I've had 3 students walk up to me since I've started complaining about this book. Mr. Gallant, my first girlfriend was a girl who loved Twilight. No, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't. I mean, you know, that's anecdotal, but I'm telling you, all over the world, all over the country, and all over the world right now are teenage girls who have no clue what real life's going to be all about. Okay, how many of them are going to end up indulging in even more of the bad boy crap? Okay, the girls are already...
She's 12 now and she's reading this, or 13 or 14 and thinks it's great. And then when she's 16 and she gets the loser at high school who happens to be cute and ride a bike and she's
but
stupid.
If Edward was nice inside, then...
Maybe he is too.
Then Max is probably great. Okay,
Max, huh?
I don't know. I tried to think of a really bad one. But, okay, if you're an adolescent girl, I think there's no reason to be ashamed that you like the book. As long as you keep in mind that it is a book, I think it's fine.
Right.
However, if you are not an adolescent girl, then you're either living in your past, if you're a girl, if you're a female,
to 14.
or as a boy of any age, you are way too in touch with your inner adolescent girl. Okay, because there's nothing for you here if you are not on some level experiencing something of the teenage of the adolescent
very angsty,
girl,
insecure adolescent girl.
And so I have to say, I would give this, unless you're an adolescent girl, I'm going to give this a 6+.
6+? Oh, I have to rate on your rate. I don't know the rate. I don't know the whole thing.
Think of it as a 5-star system and then subtract it from 6.
5-star system, subtract. Oh, can I just do a 1 to 10? Because
sure. Okay. I'll translate.
Can I give it a 5?
A 5 would be a 4.
Okay.
Plus. Okay, so you
no re-roll.
You're saying okay. Ooh, good.
How's that?
Yep, that's good. Okay. Yep. So you're saying about 50% of the people will pick it up and like it.
50 people will like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And somehow we're both wrong because look at how ridiculously
popular. I know.
Popular
Apparently, you don't want to ask for advice on what kind of book to write.
But you know what? In the ideal world, this would be a 6+, or a 4+. Okay. Well, that's all I got. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
When wives attack.
Welcome back. This is Karen, Craig's wife.
And this is Nicole, Russ's wife.
And
we have a shout out. Karen's going to just jump right into the topic, but I'm going to do the shout out. Okay, the shout out this week is Black.
It's the best one ever.
Yeah, Karen, I really like this one. Black Cavalier would like to remind the listeners that the D6 generation is to When Wives Attack, as the Tracy Ullman show is to The Simpsons. Now,
if you don't know what that is, they should look it up.
If you don't know what that is, you should look it up. But we're actually going to tell you what it is because everyone knows who The Simpsons are, right? And they're like one of the longest running shows in
most people
eternity.
don't know the Tracy Ullman show.
But have you ever heard of the Tracy Ullman show? No, that's where they got their start. So there's the parallel. So
they were a little commercial within the Tracy Ullman show.
Yes, and they took it over.
Okay, first, we got tons of people going to the website, so we'd like to thank you for that. Latest people are Bennett, Jesse, Chris, Ray, Jim, Thomas, Lisden, Dale, Kelsey Pope, and we got a couple emails this week, of course, from Norbert and Ray.
And somebody just signed our guest book, and I should have gotten the name because it was literally 2 seconds before we sat down. But he wished, I don't remember, but I wished us a happy Christmas, which I just think is really cool because I love it that the English say happy Christmas instead of Merry Christmas. I was like, tee reading
and I should say,
really cool.
I have to apologize because I was very late on, usually I respond right away to the emails, and I was very late because I don't know if I mentioned I have a new job. I have a new job that doesn't allow me to sit on my computer all day long and work on a podcast.
We don't chat as much as we once did. Now the chats are like 2 lines as opposed to Karen writing small books.
So it's taken me a while to get back to everybody, but I still am, so you just gotta give me a chance and I'll get there.
And we also suffered from the ice storm where we had no power or people living in our living rooms.
Yeah.
So it was crazy this last week.
All right. Before we get to our topic for today, we each have a little thing to talk about. Yesterday at my parents' house, we had our annual early Christmas Eve is what we call it. And my mom got some games for the kids to play. I actually talked to Dan at Married Games, who gave me some great ideas. I let my mom know them, and she showed up with the games. I don't know.
That's what moms do.
It was really weird because I was going to go get them, and they were already there. And his recommendation was great. He brought up, because I kept thinking the games we play, again, Carcassonne and like Settlers of Catan and Pillars, they're all... I wasn't thinking that the age group is young in them, but if you look at the games, they're all like 8 and up.
Yeah, once they can read.
Right.
They just need to be able to read.
And I didn't even think of that. I was thinking there's a kid's, do I need a kid's Carcassonne? Dan's like, no.
Yeah,
if you think about it, the rules are not that
complicated.
Right, strategies get complicated, but that, they can still play.
Kids do their own thing.
So he recommended Ticket to Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew of it, and Craig knew of it, and we both had never played it. My nephew is 9, and he's a really smart kid, and he has shown a little bit of interest in Craig and his gaming.
Yeah.
And Craig's sort of the only person in his life who does gaming. So we thought for Christmas it would be fun to play games with him. So my mom got some games and Ticket to Ride. He looked at the box and was like, looks boring. He told me that he saw the box and was like, oh my God, it's going to be so boring. And then
he
we
shops
asked
for
him,
games the way I do. Pretty cover, not pretty cover.
So then, but we did all sit down to play. It was me and Craig and my dad and my nephew Matthew, who's 9. And within 5 minutes, he was like, this game's awesome.
So he loved it.
Loved it. We didn't have to help him at all.
Awesome.
We didn't have to help him at all.
And what's the official age recommendation on that box?
I want to say 8.
8.
Maybe
he's
7 or
9,
8.
so
and
he's right
9.
in there.
But the best part about it, my niece, who's 8, who doesn't really have any gaming type interest, she's like a girly girl, came over and was like, what are you guys doing? And figured out how to play by watching. No one even explained it to her. She was looking at Matthew's cards and figured out what we're all doing, and they ended up playing as a team.
That's very cool.
And she loved it, and they kicked our butt. Like, we were all playing to full capacity, like playing full on, and like beat us by like 30 points. It was ridiculous.
That's funny.
And they were both ecstatic. This is the greatest game. This was so much fun. This was so much fun. So that's a huge and they can play that. Have you ever played that game?
I have not.
I
played it at Ticket to Ride. I played. There's an online version, like an Xbox or something. I played that one, but I've never played like the board game in front of you.
It's as long as they can read, because they have to read their little trail
cards,
or whatever.
Right.
They can play, and they had a great time, and it was a big adult game they were playing. We also played the kids' version of Would You Rather. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
The kids' version's funny, and it's 7 and up, I think.
Okay.
And it's literally like, would you rather, one of them was, would you rather eat dog food or eat regular food that was already chewed by a dog?
Ew. What would you rather, Karen? What would you say? I would take the dog food.
I think I'd go with the dog food too. But at that point, who played it was all my nieces and nephews on my side, which was Brooke, who's 8, Matthew, who's 9, Caitlin, who's 5, and Shane, who's 4.
And the 4 and 5 did it?
Yep. And they all could play on their own. The only thing is they couldn't read.
Somebody read the cards and they can understand.
But
what they're saying.
the 8 and 9-year-old could read, and they could read it because there's no you can't look at the card or something like that. Everybody can look at the card.
Can see.
And they have to pick one. You have to guess what other people picked and stuff like that. And they had a blast. And there's challenges. They have to do funny things, and it was great. So that's a total non-gamer, gamer game. It's a party game for little kids, and I give it a huge thumbs up. And Ticket to Ride, huge thumbs up for Gateway Kid Game.
For kid game.
It was really great.
We had yesterday we did our big gingerbread house decorating thing. We have my brother-in-law and his wife and their kids over.
Which are crazy gingerbreads, because I just saw them. I've never seen anything like that in someone's house.
It's huge. But anyway, so we decorated the gingerbread house, and then can I tell you, the kids were all saying, okay, we're done with this. Russ and John walked in the living room, turned on Rock Band, and there's this startup sound, it's Rock Band. Devin and Rose are like, we're done. Boom. They're in there. And we go in a few minutes later, Susan and I, because all things work out, the moms end up finish decorating it. They are in there with the guitars strapped over their hips, trying to play this. Russ put the whole thing in no fail mode, and we have a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, and 2 6.5-year-olds playing Rock Band in no fail mode in the living room. And dang, sometimes they're singing it and they're making it.
Yeah.
And they're starting to hit the notes. They're learning how to strum the guitar. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. They didn't want to stop playing. They were mad at us when it's okay, it's the grown-ups' turn. It was no, this is our game. I'm thinking, no, this is Mommy and Daddy's game. Give me back my drum kit.
Yeah.
So that was hilarious. The kids are so into that game.
Yeah.
They love it and want to learn how to play. Devin keeps saying, I want to learn how to play the drums when I grow up.
That's going to be really good. Hand-eye coordination.
Have a brain-mouth coordination. Yeah, actually, no, it does, because they do have to learn to strum. So actually, I think for Devin and Rose, they were playing guitar, and it took, Russ just sat there, okay, this is how you do it, and showed them, and dang, they were getting it.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed, but it was hilarious to see how much these kids love this game.
Yeah.
You just stick it in no fail mode, and it doesn't matter. They can totally mess up, and it's not gonna, they're not gonna fail out on the game.
Yeah.
So, that was really fun with them.
When I talked to Dan at Marriott, I first went in thinking we were going to buy Settlers of Catan, because that's 8 and up too. And he recommended Ticket to Ride, because I just wanted to give this tip to everybody. Settlers Have you played Settlers of Catan?
No.
I played it once and I liked it, but it's true what he said is there's more to it. Like you have to buy resources and you have to pile things. Yeah, even though it's 8 and up, it's a little more in depth. Where Ticket to Ride, there's like 3 rules and that's it.
So younger
and they're
kids
very
can get
very
it.
concrete. So. Yeah, those are some good games then for kids between the 3 of them. With
we
the
played one other game, not in a kid-related way, but we were playing games with Dan and his wife Sarah, and we played a new game. I think it's pretty new. It's called Pandemic, and other than having a bazillion pieces, it had a lot of. Oh, no, is that the one? No, there's another one that had a bazillion pieces we didn't play. I literally sat there and punched out pieces to this one game for an hour. But Pandemic, it was a really cool game. You're trying to solve these epidemics around the world. There's like 4 of them, and you try to move from point A to point B, and you play different people. One person is a researcher, another person is, is in charge of resources, and we had a really good time with this game. The table talk is fun because you start sending each other everywhere, and you're in like Mumbai, and you go to Hong Kong, and outbreaks happen, and you're like, So the first time we played that game, and it was fun. Russ and I played it with them.
You've had it for a while, though, haven't you?
No, that's not even ours.
Oh, I
thought
that's the one
Dan
that
and
came
Sarah's.
over and it got like stuck in customs or something because it had.
Oh,
big,
maybe that was the one that's
Pandemic. It had like. Would it have like?
There was a game, I think, that had like the little biohazard
swear,
symbols on the box, and
I'm
U.S.
pretty
Customs
sure it was
like,
Pandemic.
no, you're not bringing that into our country. No biohazard here, please. That may have been the game because they said it is new. So we played that one in 4 players, really fun. One thing we were all joking about, they have pieces that are different colors. They're not really meeples. They look more like pawns from chess. So I don't think they're really meeple. They don't have arms and legs, you know. But there was a pink meeple, like bright, pink meeple. And it was for the researcher, which on the card was a guy. I'm like, how come we have a girl card? She was like the doctor or something, and she's like at the little brown meeple, and they gave the guy researcher has this bright pink meeple. It was kind of funny. But so that was a really good one. It played pretty quick, really easy to learn. I mean, like within 2 minutes, it's like, okay, I get this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's this, and you're playing all as a team. Like it's kind of like you were talking about your dad. I think once was like playing a game, and it's like, Dad, if we all die, we all lose. It's kind of like that. You're all working together. You're not trying to beat the people
like
you're playing with.
Game.
A co-op game. Yes, you're all trying to solve the outbreaks. So you're all trying to rush to this area before the outbreak gets too bad, and then you're all trying to rush back to the other area. So you're working together. So it's definitely a work together game, a co-op game. It's not an individual, which makes it fun when you have a group of people, because then no one really loses. Either y'all lose because you mess up the game, or y'all win. So.
Oh, and I got a game. This is kind of funny because it's going to get played once. Because, of course, it's a party game. My sister-in-law and brother were very thoughtful to think, we'll get them a game.
Yeah.
Not knowing, if you're not a gamer, that you can't really buy those games at Toys R Us or whatever. They got us Partini, and I love it. It looks so
Partini?
good. Oh, there's miming and drawing and playing with the clay and humming and singing. You know what I mean? Like Cranium type of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking Cranium has games like that.
So excited. And Craig's like, that'll get played once.
We'll come over. We'll play with you, Karen. Russ and I will play that game. Invite John and Susan. They're right down the street. Invite us. We'll come play that game.
Yeah, John and Susan probably would play.
They would play that game.
All right. Speaking of meeples, a second ago.
Yes, we have a contest. Did we come up with it? Well, I think it was because somebody sent a picture of a meeple in the Andes or something. Somewhere. And we thought we're having a contest. Ready? Because it's a really cool contest.
This is our first official contest.
This is the first official wives. This is not the guys.
We
claimed
this.
Wives. We claimed this. I practically jumped Craig. I'm like, no, I'm getting this one. We are having a meeple contest. So what we want you to do is to send pictures of your meeples to the wives at the D6generation.com. But we want the meeples to be doing something fun to show us where they are, where you live. Like, say, like you live in Egypt. I want a picture somehow of meeples climbing the pyramids. Or say you live in Paris. I want the meeples on the Eiffel Tower. Something fun, something creative. It's the holidays. If anyone listens to this before then, you want your meeples, dance around the Christmas tree, whatever. I want a fun, creative meeple picture, right?
Yeah, and if the way it ties in is if you've heard our 12 frustrations in gaming, or
12 things in gaming
that really frustrate me. Nicole, we each had one line, and Nicole had day 7, which was fiddling with your meeples, or
playing with the meeples, the meeple massacre, yeah.
So, and if you look online on YouTube, we posted the video. There's pictures of meeples doing handstands and pyramids and
but
things like that. So you get ideas. Those are basic.
Because we want something creative. We want you to kick it up a notch. We want you to be more. You guys are, a lot of you are geeks and you model all these things, right? So model some meeples for us. We want something really creative. And for coming up with the most creative meeple pictures. We'll post some of them, especially the one that wins. We'll put it on our website, the wives site. And we
thewives.webs.com.
There we go. And we are also going to have a meeple-related prize, which Karen and I are currently working on. But there will be a meeple-related prize to go out to whoever wins the meeple contest.
Yep. Okay.
Yes,
We'll go on to our topic, which was given to us by Nils, who was also the auction winner for this week, who I don't have the exact wording of it, but it had to do with ways girls can help out their gamer men, when their gamer men are trying to finish their projects.
Right.
The reason it was caught my eye was because his suggestions were things I would never do. They were like help paint, or not paint, but
make terrain.
Yeah, and whatever, put a base coat on or something like that. And I'm like, first of all, Craig would never want me to do.
Yeah,
He'd be
Craig
like,
is such a painter that if you went through and touched one of his models, Craig would be like, Garrett, don't, thanks, but don't touch that. No, he would have a nervous breakdown.
It's probably exactly what he would sound like too. But I do a couple of things that I thought of. A big one that I have to watch myself. This is kind of a funny one, but when he is so gracious as to paint in the living room so that we can spend time together, I have to remember not to move when I'm on the couch.
Oh, that's bad. Because if the couch cushions were to jiggle even 1/100th of a centimeter, that's
I get a look. I get the look up like.
Which, like, if you're painting like an eye, the pupil of an eye on a model, which I know Craig does, then that one little 10 centimeter just gave him a black eye.
And I used to, I try not to move as much. Sometimes I forget because I am a fidgeter. But it's little things like that. Like if he notices like I'm not moving, he really, really appreciates that. And it's something I can do easily.
Yes.
Other things I do is if he does have a big project that I know he's working on, I do try to take interest in it and tell him things that I like. He'll ask me questions sometimes, and I give him the truth about what color or whatever. And I know it's really important to him, so I don't get annoyed. I don't get whatever. I answer his questions because I know he cares. I try not to nag him if he is really working on a project, something he's trying to get done for Tuesday or whatever, because they're going to do something, and it's Monday night. I'm not going to be like, Craig, the trash is still here, or Craig, you have to do this, because I know he's working on it. Because I just find if you let the guys be a little bit and do their own thing, they're much happier and easier to deal with. I think that's
almost the best way in some ways to
stay
help
out
them
of the way.
Like if they're, because we talked about having your guy hang out with you while he's trying to paint, so you don't feel like he's off in his cave painting, you're upstairs watching TV or whatever. If he's hanging out with you, for them, they get really involved in it. So I think, or whatever thing he's doing, kind of leave him be. Try not to interrupt. I try not to talk to us too much. If he's down here painting, it's I'm not going to ask him, honey, can you help me with this? Honey, can you help me with that? Really give him the time, especially if their project is, if it's intense, they've got a tournament or they have some reason they need this done, by a certain date and they're in a crunch to get it done. Give them the time and let them focus on it, because so to a degree, it's kind of like an art thing for them. They get very focused, they get very immersed in what they're doing. Too. And when you talk to them, it sort of breaks their train of thought. If you were trying to write a paper or something and someone started chatting at you in the background, you're thinking, what was I writing before I turned around to answer this question? I think the same thing happens to them a little bit when they're doing modeling and stuff for games, for miniatures gaming. You totally break them out of where they are. And then sometimes they're in a groove and they're painting a bunch of guys. And again, just by interrupting them or by asking them to help with something, they're totally snapped out of that, groove that they were in. And it makes it tough for them to get back into that groove.
And I just find if you do that and you leave him alone, then if I keep interrupting, he gets annoyed, and then afterwards he's annoyed and he felt like he didn't get his time, he didn't finish. Where if you can do something nice and leave them alone, usually if you have a good guy, afterwards they're more appreciative and they'll do the trash, they'll do whatever because you did leave them alone.
Right, then you can ask them to do 20 things.
A relationship. Yes.
Yeah, you can say, I need you to do these 20 things now, and they're like, whatever you want, you let me paint my model.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if you are someone when Nils was saying, if you do, because there are women out there who do painting and do that kind of stuff and are creative. If you are creative like that and you want to help him with something that he wants, he might want to do all the fine detail painting or whatever, but if you're really good at painting and you're like, honey, I'll help you prime him black, or I'll help do this or that, or if you're someone who makes terrain and he's doing something, or if there is a part that you can help him with that you enjoy doing that, because if you really hate doing it, honestly, you're not going to do a good job. So don't try volunteering to help him make terrain or cut out templates or something like that. He doesn't
like it or the way it came out, you know what I mean? I'm speaking from a non-gamer girl point of view. Another thing that I thought of is, this hasn't happened lately, but in previous years, he may have a tournament.
Yeah.
And whenever there's a tournament, he's up the night before till 3 a.m. finishing whatever. And I don't bug him those. I'm not like, come to bed, or you're going to be up so late. Or I just let him be and let him be at his tournament. And I don't call I let him be when he is out at the tournaments.
Don't call him 18 times. Because I got to tell you something. When we owned the store, I could tell you every wife in the store or every wife of the guys.
This is my opinion, I gotta say.
Or girlfriend who was a nag. Because literally this poor guy would try to play one round of a game and get 3 or 4 calls. And it would be like, yeah, honey, I'm still playing.
Right.
Yep. Like I said, I'll be home at 6. And it's like lunchtime.
Yeah.
And it would get, you know what? It's embarrassing for them. Like when they have to answer the phone 8 times and be like, honey, I'm still playing a game. I told you it's an all-day tournament. That is it's like having your mother call in and say, honey, are you going to be home soon? When you're a teenager, you don't want your wife or your girlfriend calling you. If she really needs to call you, the house burned down, the kids are in the hospital, call. But if it's just like, hey, how's your day going? Leave him be. Let him have his moment.
There's something you're calling because you need something. Most of the time, it can wait. Like, it may be a little bit annoying to you that you have to wait 5 hours to get the answer. But in my opinion, just let him have his day.
Have his time.
And then I have to say with Craig, because I'm not a girl who calls all the time, when I do call, he's not annoyed. He's like, what can I do? What are you calling for? Because he knows I'm not just going to call him out of the blue. And then actually what I get out of that, which I love, is him calling me. Like, I'm just checking in. I get that a lot because I don't nag him. So he takes it upon himself to check in with me.
When they have big tournaments, especially and stuff too, and if it's an all-day thing, they have breaks. They normally have a lunch break or there's a snack break between rounds or whatever. And you know what? If he can or if he feels like it, he'll check in with you, and that's fine. But if not, let him have his time and just leave him be, because it's really frustrating for them. I think then from a husband point of view, I think what husbands feel, I think they start to feel like, man, I can't do anything. They feel nagged, and it kind of takes a lot of the enjoyment out of it from. So when they're doing something where they're gaming and when they're at an all day thing, make sure you give them their space. I think that's the best way. Give them their space, whether they're home and painting or whether they're at a tournament. Give them their space to do their thing.
Because usually I know Craig, that's like when he may not show that's when he's at his happiest, but he is when he's painting or gaming or just in the environment. He's happy and relaxed, and I don't want to, It's
a little bit of a stress relief, I think, too, for us. Yes. It's like kind of like gets out the stress of the week or the month or whatever. They don't have to think
about anything.
Right. There's no responsibility there. They're just playing a game, and let them get their stress out. And then when they're home, they're more focused on being home because they had their time to do their thing, and now they're ready to spend time with you and the kids and the family and whatever. So
I have one last one.
Go for it, Karen.
And this is my old-fashionedness, but I think you should be proud. I am so proud of Craig. When he painted those models of me, they're up on my mantle.
I saw them when I was there at Halloween.
Or when people come and not take tours of the house, but we show people around the house. I want them to see Craig painted all these. I'll show them the cabinet. No, he painted them. Look inside. This is this table. He did this whole table because I don't know. I'm so proud of him, and it's something that not everybody can do. And I know how hard he works on it. Yeah. And a lot of people don't get it, or they'll look at it and not think twice about it. And I love bragging about it because I'm proud of him, because he's my man and he does all that, and he's good at it.
There's a stigma to gaming, and we all joke about it, and we all call you guys geeks and whatever. But by the same token, it's like what you're doing is pretty creative, especially when you're doing the miniature games and things where you're having to paint stuff and do stuff like that. So I think, not picking on your hubby about it. I teased Russ about it, but I think
there's a difference.
There's a difference between teasing him about just having a hobby where he's playing with little metal men and being like, you were totally an idiot. I mean, there's a difference there, and I think the teasing is one thing, but don't embarrass. He should be proud. I mean, it's a neat thing. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Stand up from when they're if they're taking too much abuse, stand up for them, because it isn't. There's, like I said, there's always worse things they could be doing, and it is a pretty cool hobby. There's some neat stuff they're doing. It's very creative. They're using their brains. They're using some artistic talent to paint things, and I think it's a good thing. I don't think playing games is a bad thing.
No, and they have to be smart, and that's when people say that's my number one thing I love about Craig, and what attracted me to him is he's so smart, and you have to be smart to do these things. But even something as simple as he's like, Karen, what do you think of this guy? I'll try to find something like, oh, I like this sword, or I like that color, because he'll go on like, oh my God, I did that, and I thought of that, and I did this because of whatever reason. You know what I mean? Because there's a thought that goes into everything.
A lot of thought goes into what they do.
So instead of just looking at it and like, oh yeah, that's great, if you take the interest in it, it just makes them happy. And then that, in my opinion, in a relationship, it always comes back because they're happier.
Right.
Yeah. So
the Russ always says that they're the caboose, and that we kind of.
I know. I like that, Greg.
The caboose is very cool, but every now and then, the engine has to make sure that the caboose is there, and don't forget that you have a caboose, and make him come happily along with you.
It has to be maintained.
Yeah, instead of dragging it, kicking and screaming with broken wheels.
That is a great metaphor. It does. It has to be maintained. Okay, that's it for me.
That's
How about
all
you?
we've got this week.
All
yeah,
right.
everyone, thanks for listening. And
remember, you can send the pictures in to the wives at the D6generation.com.
Yep, and we're going to let it run for, I think
yeah.
we said 2 episodes. So like through this episode and the next episode, and then the third one we'll announce
the
a winner. So
yeah.
Take care, everyone.
We will see you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to be doing an interview with Andrew Hartland, a.k.a. Hacksaw76 on the forums. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing great. Russ is here, too.
Thanks for being on the show, Andrew.
Oh, Russ, right, yeah.
Right, the other guy.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
We're missing Rafe, but that's okay.
And Rafe is going to be quiet, as usual.
He'll be, that's right.
He's just sitting right there.
He'll talk just slightly less than normal.
Exactly, and then the last interview.
Right.
Andrew, I have a question for you right off the bat, because I've met you many times. Although you are slightly physically imposing, the tag Hacksaw doesn't seem to quite fit. I've always wondered where that came from.
Oh, okay.
Were there really 75 other people who wanted to be called Hacksaw before you signed on to the forums?
No, there weren't. Actually, the 76 is simply my birth year.
There you go.
Typical.
And the Hacksaw refers to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That's the avatar that I use, and
is that the guy with no shirt that I'm looking at?
I don't know. I think it was probably sophomore year of college, and a few buddies of mine were in New York with me, and we had a few too many drinks and felt threatened on the streets, and I decided to pick up a 2x4 and carry it back to my hotel.
There you go.
That would definitely deter most thieves.
And there you go.
That's pretty much it.
Now, were you attacked on the way home from the hotel?
I think we probably thought we were attacked.
But see, you didn't, and thus the 2x4 worked.
Thanks to the 2x4, he did his job.
That's right. That's why you snap inside the refrigerator to keep the elephants away.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the doorman let me in after I put the hacksaw
with the
post down.
I was going to say.
All right, so Andrew,
that was pretty fun.
Excuse me, Mr. Hartland, do you really need the 2x4?
I can put that in the
Sorry,
back for you.
Jeeves.
Yeah, so that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
So Andrew, so you are a Privateer Press Pressganger, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, what are the responsibilities and duties of a pressganger?
Wow. That's a pretty broad set of duties and responsibilities. Well, if you look at the Pressganger coins that one of our local guys put out, and a lot of the Pressgangers currently have, the motto that we've unofficially adopted is, you bring the dice, we'll bring the bodies.
Oh, nice.
So, in essence, the real goal of a Pressganger is to make sure that the games that Privateer Press produces are supported in a positive way and building a community of players so that the games that you love will be present for enough time for you to play them at a somewhat regular interval.
Right. So people who are unfamiliar with sort of this kind of a program that some companies offer, you basically are sort of super fans of the game, right? Essentially,
right.
Who have volunteered to help out the company promote their product and run events and things like that, right? Pretty much.
Exactly. That's really what it is. It's a bunch of guys who love the game so much that they will sacrifice their own time to ensure its future existence.
Cool. Now, before you became a Pressganger, let's kind of go back into your gaming past.
I want the origin story of Hacksaw 76.
So, how did you get into gaming, and what led you to your current Pressganger activities?
Well, a long time ago, the first game that I ever played that wasn't among the video game crowd or computer game crowd, which is pretty mainstream. So the first game that I played that would get me looked at weird by my classmates in school was called Duel Masters, and that was a game that I found out about in the back of a Conan novel.
Ooh.
There was a small block of text that said, live the life of a gladiatorial stable master in Duel Masters.
Who could resist that tagline? That
exactly.
is awesome.
Catchy. I'll never forget it.
Exactly. So that was a very interesting game. It was a play-by-mail game.
Oh, wow.
So you'd receive a weekly, or I think it was actually a bi-weekly update, which showed the standings, and you'd be assigned to an arena, and you'd breed fighters through random statistics being generated.
Human breeding program. I like it already. This is serious stuff.
The game just keeps getting better and better.
It does.
Right, and then you choose a style, and then what would happen is after you've generated the character, you'd do inputs, level of effort, basically, and then special tactics during each minute of the fight. And then after that happened, the guy that you got paired against, they'd compare the statistics and run a simulation, whatever the simulation was in the 80s, who knows.
Flip a coin.
Exactly. And then they'd get a printout, and it would give you a little summary of the fight. And then there was also a section that showed in the newsletter, what your overall record was and stuff like that. So that was my first game. I was okay at it, but I was a little too young to understand the whole min-max, type thing.
How to build the cheesiest possible gladiator, right?
Exactly, right. So I went to a Duel Masters convention in New Jersey when I was about, probably 15 or so. My dad drove me to this thing, complaining the whole way, thinking, what the hell is my son involved in? This is so strange. But, he was a good dad, so he took me out there.
Did the Gladiator connection have any concern for him? Because you know what they say about guys who like Gladiator movies.
Exactly. Yeah, Gladiator simulations are one step beyond the movies, so he was probably a little bit worried. And then during that intense convention, which consisted of, men sitting around tables filling out spreadsheets. I also saw guys playing a card game, and the card game was Magic the Gathering.
There you go.
So that was an interesting find, and eventually this curious game that I found at this convention became an addiction. So I played that for a very long time, probably 5 or 6 years, until it, turned me to the dark side, where I felt dirty enough that I couldn't play it anymore. And then I started looking at miniatures games. So I started off with Necromunda, and that was a good game, and my brothers just played against me, and they always lost. And they didn't know why. And I just had a very good sense of the distances and strategies that needed to be played, and then I played a bunch of those games, and then I eventually got into 40K, and I played that for a long time until I moved back. Well, I didn't move back. I'm originally from the East Coast, but I was all over the place in the Army.
Yeah.
And when I came back to the East Coast in Massachusetts, I saw a game being played that was not 40K, and I was like, what is this game? And I literally got one demo of Warmachine and sold all my 40K stuff, which was quite substantial within a month.
You had made the conversion. Instant.
Exactly. Instant conversion.
What they say about zealots.
That's right.
I had seen the light.
Great. So you've run the gamut of miniature gaming, and then are you into mostly the sort of the tabletop actual battling process? Are you a modeler too? Do you love painting and collecting, or how do you fit into the whole, the meter between total hobbyist and total gamer?
I'm pretty well in the middle of the spectrum. I wouldn't consider myself an expert painter. I mean, I've seen Craig's stuff, and I'd put him close to expert. His stuff would really look nice. My stuff, I would just say, is above average.
But that epic Aris you had was great.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was painted by Matt DiPietro from Privateer Press Studio.
Oh, really?
Oh, sorry about that.
Right. So I put myself right about in the middle of the spectrum, and that's a good thing
it's a nice, comfortable place to be.
Yeah, middle's good.
Yeah. With work and everything, modeling is sometimes limited. Maybe you can only get a game in once a week, and then when you have time, you can get back to the modeling table and the painting table.
Sure. Cool. So you've done a lot of that. Now, did you ever go into board games, or you pretty much stayed in the miniature card game realm?
Actually, lately, in the last year or two, I've been getting into board games, as you guys know. Right. Some of the games that I've played, there's just really awesome transformational type experience for board games as well. Growing up as a kid, we played Parcheesi and Yahtzee and Monopoly. It wasn't really exciting. but now they've got games like Cutthroat Caverns, Arkham Horror.
I feel the need, because Cutthroat Caverns has actually been a huge hit with our fans all over the world. It's your fault. It's totally
Right.
Andrew's. It wasn't a demo or anything at Gen Con. It was Andrew's set, and he had the demo, the Deeper and Darker demo that I had to wait like 3 months to get. And it all started with Andrew. So anybody who's got complaints, I don't want to hear about them anymore. Send them to Hacksaw76 no, just kidding. But no, thank you, because that was that's become a huge hit around here. I know.
It's just a great game.
It is.
Unfortunately, those 2 expansions that I pre-ordered at Gen Con aren't available yet.
Yeah, no
or else I
kidding.
think I'd be making more of an effort to get it on the table again.
Yeah.
Right. So, great. So you're playing the Gambit now, but still, obviously, your first love, since you wear the black shirt, is Warmachine and Hordes. And now, have you played a lot of Monster Apocalypse lately?
I actually have not made the leap to Monster Apocalypse. Being, somewhat vested in the modeling and painting aspect of the game, when I first saw Kevin Clark, he's, PPS Kevin, he was at Gen Con giving all the press gangers a demo beforehand so that we could actually know how to demo it at Gen Con, and it just didn't turn me on at all. And, that's the thing about the company. Even among the group of volunteers, they were very cognizant of the fact that some people just weren't going to be into it, and they knew that, and they said, and if you're not into it, we're not going to force you to do it. And so I let them know, I said, I don't think it's going to be for me. I think the rules are solid. I think it's a good game for people that enjoy that type of format. But for me, unless I see the modeling aspect, because I need that balance, just because the way my life is configured right now, just the game doesn't necessarily do it for me.
So you want the hobby. You like the hobby game, right?
Correct.
As Craig would say. That's cool.
I would say not. I wouldn't say that at all.
What would you say?
I would say he's a hobbyist.
There you go.
Yeah, not the hobby game. That's just odd. That's like a Frankenstein's configuration of words.
Okay, well, moving right along then.
Sorry, you had to see that.
So one of the reasons we're excited to have you on the show, Andrew, is because, of course, TempleCon's coming up.
It's our big TempleCon extravaganza.
And we just spoke with Grant. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, wow.
We just had Grant on the show. Very excited. He gave us all the lowdown.
Dancing girls.
Right.
Did you know that?
Oh, I know. Well, wait, let me look. Okay, the door's closed. Yes, I'm very well aware of the dancing girls.
Now, just to give a little bit of background info for our listeners, today is a special day for Andrew.
It is.
And he's making a great personal sacrifice to be here with us.
No small sacrifice.
No. Andrew, what's special about today?
Today is actually my 4th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
And there is Mrs. Hacksaw right outside the hallway, and he's just making sure the door's closed.
We'll
before
have to have the wives give her a shout-out.
There you go.
In Wives Attack.
There you go. We'll definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's very nice.
That'll fix the whole issue.
Yeah, exactly. That'll balance out him talking about.
Thanks for rushing back from your anniversary dinner.
We do appreciate
to be on the show.
Exactly.
So anyway, so we're Grant, dancing girls, blah blah blah. So moving on.
Right. So we just talked. So Grant let us in on the halftime show for your big event there. But what kind of events are you and the guys from Privateer going to be running there this year?
Okay, well, Eternal War, as you know, is the big sell for TempleCon. I think that's what set us apart. And Eternal War is back this year. The first event of the convention is Eternal War Kickoff.
So now describe Eternal War for those who might have missed our episode.
Or they confused it because we kept calling
it the wrong thing.
Constant conflict,
right?
Continuous carnage,
endless struggle, continuous carnage. That was the best one. So what is that? What exactly? What makes Eternal War different? I mean, we know, but let the listeners know what's new, what's cool about it.
Okay, so if you play Warmachine or Hordes and you're not interested in playing in tournaments in the convention because they're just those somewhat intense events that are very time-consuming, tie you to a table, and very competitive, we have an alternative called Eternal War. And in Eternal War this year, you're going to develop 3 lists, either Warmachine or Hordes, one for 500-point level, one for 750-point level, and one for 1,000-point level.
Ooh.
Last year, we just had it as bring 2 lists for 750 points.
Right.
But a lot of people said, we'd like a little bit more flexibility for these casual games to count.
Cool.
And that's the difference as well, is that Eternal War games as casual as they are, do count towards qualifying for the TempleCon championships on Sunday.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Exactly. So you're playing pickup games all weekend, and the person who plays the most pickup games and has the best results from Warmachine and Hordes will actually qualify to be in the championships from just hanging out and playing pickup games.
Well, that's great. Now, when you say there's the 3-point values, can you play just 1 point value? Let's say you're a starter guy and you only have a 500-point force. Can you still come and play, or do you need to be able to field all 3 different point values?
No, absolutely. You can play just 500-point games. It may limit the spectrum of your opponents somewhat, but definitely you can play 500-point games all weekend if you want to.
That's great, so they can have them count. So a new guy can come in, kind of get the feel of a con, and then play a easy game. But if you're more hardcore, you can.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yep, and then another thing this year is the addition of the Eternal War button.
Ooh.
Ah, yes.
Bling.
We're always merchandising, right?
Bit of bling.
Right.
So what it's going to be is it'll just be about a 3-inch circular button, one of the pins on the back, and when you register for Eternal War, you can buy a button for $1. That's the production cost of the button. We're not trying to make any money. And it's a nice design by another pressganger that I know who lives in New York, and we're going to make about 100 of them. We hope we run out of them. But basically, that'll be a little memento for you from the con. It's going to say Eternal War 2009, TempleCon 2009. And that will also act as an identifier that you're looking for pickup games. So if you're looking for Eternal War games, you'll see the button, you know you're good.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Definitely need one of those.
Yeah.
To have on my back.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. So you said there's going to be a kickoff event. How's that going to work?
All right. Well, the kickoff event is a new event this year. That's right. We didn't think there were enough tournaments. We had to add one more. So at 11 a.m. on Friday, we're going to register for the event, and at noon the event will start, and that's going to be a 500-point event for Warmachine or Hordes. It's going to be mangled metal, except you can also include one solo and one unit.
Oh, neat.
So it's kind of a unique army composition. Mangled Metal Plus, which one of the press gangers from, I think he's from the DC area, is going to run, and they're going to call it Guts and Gears. And It's a 500-point tournament right at the beginning of the con.
Right. So you got the 500-point tournament at the beginning. Now, is that an own contained tournament with prizes, or those games just count towards the weekend's Eternal Struggle or Eternal War conflict? Or
Right. No, that is actually a self-contained tournament, and the top Warmachine and Hordes player from that tournament will qualify for the championships on Sunday.
Event. Cool. So that's the first thing. So that's 11 o'clock, noon Friday to like 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever it is, right?
It depends on the field of players, but if it's a 3-round tournament, we template typically about 8 hours.
Right, so 8. And then what's after that? Well, you guys don't stop at one tournament, right? It just keeps going.
You guys don't stop at all, if my memory serves.
Right. Well, the thing is, events descriptions are one thing, but the events rotate around one thing, and this includes Eternal War. Eternal War sort of stops when this happens as well, and that is based on the hours for the McCormick and Schmick's bar menu. Did you guys get down to McCormick and Schmick's last year?
We did not. Apparently, that was a big mistake.
Apparently, that was a huge mistake.
Oh man, it's amazing. They when there's a convention in the hotel, and I mean we can talk about the Biltmore for a long time as well. I'll get to that. But McCormick and Schmick's is a great restaurant to begin with, very good food, and a full bar. And they have a bar menu at certain hours of the day, which says, if you buy one drink to include soda, you get access to the bar menu, which is $2 for a quarter-pound hamburger and fries, and it's good food.
Oh, dear.
Now we're in danger.
now we're in real danger.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Nice.
So all the breaks for the official tournaments are based on the hours of that menu.
This is my kind of con.
See?
All the events are around the beer and food menu.
We didn't know enough.
They got dancing girls.
Yes.
What the?
Oh, yeah, that's all you.
How do you not go to these things, though? Hey, you can look. You just can't touch.
You're such a libido-driven individual.
So
right.
All right. So we got so the evening events are kicked around the bar schedule. So everybody gets some kind of dinner.
Right,
then-
it's the day events and the evening events.
Right.
Whenever the bar schedule's in effect,
Everything stops.
everyone knows that's going to stop the tournament immediately.
Nice.
There's 20 minutes left on the clock. We're going to stop and go down to McCormick Strix. That's pretty much what happens. So
like it.
See,
it's
now we'll be
really
in the know.
a significant part.
So what happens? So what are the events? So you have the starting tournament, and then we have the bar break, and then there's an all night event Friday, isn't there?
Oh, yes. The Midnight Madness event. That's the one that starts at 10 p.m. on Friday for registration, and the first game is templated to start at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
This is a 750-point event, and I feel pain as I speak
Yeah,
of this.
you
because,
should.
Because I run this event.
Oh, man.
And you bring 2 lists. It's pretty much steamroller scenarios will be used, but then we also add some special rules. We add a prize that you can win each round for achieving a certain feat each round. So one last year was called acceptable losses, and if you lost a unit of infantry first among all players, you won a prize.
Nice. I could win that kind of prize.
Yeah, that's right up my alley.
What if you lose the game inside 30 seconds? Is there one for those? That's what I need.
Oh, we were working on new and interesting ways to award prizes.
All right.
And then the theme for Midnight Madness, is basically masochism. You're torturing yourself with fun through the night, and that we use that as the theme for the T-shirt as well for TempleCon. So last year we had a TempleCon T-shirt which said it had Bosun Grogspar, one of the Privateer faction characters, who is the bosun of the Talion ship, and he says, up all night, I don't give a damn, no sleeping on the job. So it's in character with the actual fiction for that character, and it's also in character with the event. So this year I'm cooking up a new T-shirt. And the cool thing about this is this T-shirt is going to sport Privateer art that has never been seen before.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be, the only hint I can give you is that this art is going to be epic.
Oh. Can you name the artist?
I can't give you any more details than it's going to be epic.
He almost said it. Did you hear?
There's no,
It was close.
we didn't send the cherub, that's why.
That's right. The cherub is not there.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, last year's shirt was amazing, and I was very jealous of it. But I don't know if I can pull the all-night thing.
All you got to
I'm
do
getting
is
too old
stay
for
up
that.
all night.
Getting too old for
Well,
that.
actually, the way that we run it is the players in that event have first go at the shirts.
Right.
And then once that event's over, anyone can buy them.
Right. They were gone by the time I got there, though, on Saturday.
Yeah, I would never let you get away with wearing that shirt if you didn't stay up all night. You little puke.
I can tape over that little word.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's a cool picture of the bosun. Okay,
Look
so
at
anyway.
me. I stayed up all night.
So there's the all-night event, and then on Saturday... Now, let me ask you this. How many... Well, we'll get to that. So on Saturday, then,
He's all
and the
excited.
Eternal Struggle's still going, right?
Correct.
Endless
Eternal
war.
struggle, continuous carnage, eternal war. It never stops. It's
Right.
54 hours straight.
Right.
It is
of gaming.
infinite.
So the way that works, just for everybody who's curious, is that people are just recording their battles and submitting paperwork to you guys as it goes on. So they may play
Right.
all night long. Who knows? So then Saturday, you guys, everybody gets to sleep till around like 10 or something, and then what happens? Hardcore starts, right?
Well, I don't get to sleep because Midnight Madness ends at 7 a.m.
Nice.
And then I eat breakfast and get ready for hardcore because hardcore registration starts at 9 a.m.
Now, how did that work for you last year?
That worked pretty well last year. I actually won hardcore, won the overall,
See?
having gotten no sleep.
That could be you, Russ.
Right. I'm the guy that he gave a prize to last time for getting beaten by a 10-year-old.
Oh, no, I remember,
Or
and that was on a
13-year-old.
full night of sleep.
It's Russ. I was well rested and everything.
Right.
So
See,
go ahead.
It's painful to think of. Honestly, it is because I'm doing this again, and I guarantee you I will not
How
win
do
this
You
time.
really did look like The Walking Dead.
He did. But the thing is that he beat all those guys after being up all night. That's
Yeah, but
impressive.
do you remember there were people propping him up in his last games?
So, Andrew, you can well and truly say you could win that tournament in your sleep. Because you probably did. So, let me ask you this. So that hardcore goes on, and that's, can you describe, for those listeners who don't know what hardcore is, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what the hardcore event is and what makes it so special?
Okay, the hardcore event for Privateer is the penultimate event. It's the purest form of the game in the eyes of the designers. It's a single list tournament. You only get one, so it has to be a balanced approach. 750-point army, Hordes, or Warmachine.
That's new this
So
year, right?
it's a mixed event now.
Yep.
That's a difference. And each turn is only 7 minutes long.
Wow.
Wow. And you have to be painted to get in. You can't play at all if your army's not painted, right?
Right.
Correct. It's a fully painted requirement.
Right.
And the good thing about the tournament is some of the competitiveness is tapered off a little bit by the fact that there's several awards. Right. There's the fastest caster kill award, the most victory points killed award, the best painted award, and the best overall record. So even if you lose your first couple games, there's still a lot of prizes to shoot for.
It really is the tournament if you're going to be like going for the total gamer sort of thing. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, hobbyist.
And this event too is special because you can't just run one of these things anywhere, right? It's kind of hard to get one of these things run, correct?
Correct. The prize kit that is used for hardcore is only available upon the decree of Privateer Press. They have to either approve your event or attend your event and run it. And this year, once again, Privateer is going to attend TempleCon and run the event.
Which is amazing, considering how far away Privateer Press is.
Privateer Press in Washington State, for our listeners here.
Which, for those of you that only know the United States by that map that you used to see in your classroom, is at the other end of the continent.
Right.
Exactly. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be Dan Brandt, PPS Biggie. He's the head of the volunteer program called the Press Gang, and then Kevin Clark, who's the head of organized play and also works on rules development. They came out last year and had a great time. The only work they really had to do was run hardcore. Other than that, they're pretty much just chilling with the players, talking to people candidly about the game, and it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So how's prize support? I don't know if you can announce anything now, but can you give some examples of what was out last year and what people can expect for prizes?
Well, the hardcore prizes are these very ornate medals, and they even give you the ribbon that you would wear on a military uniform as a part of that medal. So if you wanted to put together a uniform for hardcore and you'd won events, you could actually do the full ribbons like a dress mess, or you could do just the small ribbons for your greens that you'd wear or something like that.
Like your tours of duty.
Exactly.
Nice.
So that's the prize kit for that. And then a special prize for hardcore that I announced at Gen Con on, I think, an interview with you guys, actually.
I think you did.
Was the Matt DiPietro studio-painted Epic Iris from Gen Con 2007 that I've had for, I don't know how many months now, will be given away at TempleCon. What we're going to do is, at the end of hardcore, if you're still awake, if you've finished all your games, we're going to randomly raffle off that Epic Iris to anyone who's playing in hardcore and has completed all their games and is awake to hear their name
nice.
called.
See, now I might have to play just
Beautiful model.
That is a beautiful model. And it's a conversion, too, right? It's not...
No, it is the stock model. It's just painted well enough.
And it's got
I think a lot of people got the
to it.
wrong impression from the website. It's a really good model.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's hardcore, but then it doesn't stop there, right? In addition to after hardcore ends, an eternal struggle, of course, is still going on, or endless war, or whatever it's called. What happens does anything go on Saturday night, or do you guys finally sleep?
Well, I also should mention that, the Midnight Madness and hardcore also qualify the top player from Warmachine and Hordes.
That's right.
For the championships. So the first three tournaments and Eternal War qualify those top players. Now, when hardcore is over, most people are going to be a little bit tired.
Yeah. I don't know why.
No.
It's just understandable. Saturday night, the event is called Jackson Beasts Never Rest.
Notice that they're tired, but they don't stop playing. That's my favorite part. They're tired.
Exactly.
It's understandable. We don't let them sleep, however. We just kind of tone it down a little.
Jacks and beasts never sleep. Right. And apparently neither do gamers.
Right. So this event is actually a new event on the schedule. This has appeared at TempleCon before, but it was not there last year. And what the Jackson Beasts Never Rest event consists of is a 750-point one-list event that is a mangled metal and tooth and claw event, meaning only Warjacks and War Beasts. But the difference is, instead of one Warlock or Warcaster, you get two.
Ooh, that'd be fun to watch. That'd be great.
Right, so you see a lot of interesting combinations.
Yeah.
But what it leads to is Fast and Furious games. It's either kill the Warcaster or Warlock, or if you destroy all their Warjacks and War Beasts, you'll win the match.
Wow, that must be fun to watch. So what was the point value again? 750?
750, all Jacks or Beasts, and two Warlocks or Warcasters.
Yeah. How many epics can you have in there? Only one or two? How does that work?
just one Epic Warcaster or Epic Warlock. And with Privateer attending this event, you never know what Epic Warlocks might show up.
Ooh. All right. That's cool, too. All right, so is that an all-night thing Saturday? Is that just like a little couple-hour thing? How does that work?
Once again, it depends on the field, but registration starts at 11. First game's at midnight.
Now, do you have to stay awake for that one, too?
No. After hardcore is over, I am escorted by security to my room.
Where you will curl up with your 2x4 and
Exactly.
get some shut-eye.
Wow.
But that is not a qualifying event, so if anybody is going to play in the finals, we at least template that not to be a qualifying event so that people in the championships could get some sleep if they wanted to.
That's just for people who are truly insane or someone who just wants to play on that and miss Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Cool.
And there's actually a lot of buzz on the Privateer forums about this event because a lot of people have never played it before.
It does sound cool. How many times has it been run a lot in the past, or is it very rare?
We've run it at least once a year for the past 3 or 4 years, and it's always popular. It just wasn't at TempleCon last year.
People like new weird formats like that.
Yeah.
I remember that when we played 40K, same thing. Weird. People love the wacky, like the Gladiator with all the weird, you use anything or something like that. Okay, so that's Saturday night. Now we've made it to Sunday.
Right.
Some poor guys have been up for like 48 hours straight at this point, right?
Exactly.
So now it's Sunday. So what happens Sunday? Is Sunday pretty much, if you're in the championship,
Sunday!
of course, you're still playing Endless Struggle or, Continuous Carnage or whatever. Then Sunday comes. What happens on Sunday?
Well, Eternal War actually is a little bit different this year in the fact that Eternal War, you can qualify for the championships up until 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
But if you don't qualify for the championships, you can keep playing Eternal War up until 4 p.m. on Sunday, and it actually is going to have its own prize pool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool. So there'll be little wacky prizes in that, too, for like most games played and, things like that. Or did you beat the most people and things like that?
Exactly. There's going to be a ton of cool prizes for Eternal War. And then, again, those people who have qualified for the championships, top 4 Warmachine and top 4 Hordes players, the change this year is it's a mixed event instead of 2 separate 8-player events. We're going to have one mixed 8-player event with 4 Warmachine and 4 Hordes players.
Wow, nice.
And the other difference is this final is going to be a 500-point event.
Ooh. That's pretty low point value for a big final,
Yeah, it's going to force everybody to...
put all those epics back in the box.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
no Epic Vlad. No Epic Vlad. That's huge, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, the point of the event is to it's 2 reasons. One, it's to conserve time. You got to have a time constraint based on
you've shown so much concern for time to the rest of the schedule.
Exactly. There is no concern for time throughout, but in the last day, we need to make an effort to make sure we can close everything out in time for a good awards ceremony.
Gotcha.
Because that kind of got lost in the shuffle last year, and we want it to be good. And additionally, the 500-point type event rolls back the clock, and it lets you take a very long look at your army list and decide what you're going to focus on. Yeah. In a 750-point event, you can pretty much cover all the bases. Mm-hmm. In a 500-point event, you have to think about what you want to focus on. You don't get to take everything. And we like that. It makes it a harder choice to be making a list from.
Right. Well, that's interesting. So the finals are the big thing on Sunday then, pretty much, an Endless War, of course, going on.
Correct.
Great.
And then the big
award ceremony.
Award ceremony. Any dancers at that?
I don't know if there's going to be dancers at that are scheduled, but I'm sure there'll be dancing of some sort.
There will be dancing.
There'll be some kind of dancing. Now, do you know last year, because you had a similar schedule last year in terms of total hours of gaming in Privateer's world possible, do you know what percentage of gamers actually do play nonstop from Friday through Sunday afternoon?
I think disturbingly, it's pretty high. I think it's probably about 50%.
Really? And what was your turnout last year? How many people were involved with Privateer stuff last year? Do you remember?
We had 70 unique players.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think about half of them probably got 2 or 3 hours of sleep throughout the weekend.
Wow. And a couple of the big winners were guys like that, right? Because
one was Andrew.
Andrew obviously was one. And the Alaskan guy.
But I was weak. I actually slept on Saturday night for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
Weakness is sleep leaving the body.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, something like that.
Right. That's great. So now, what's your of all the events you run? Because how many events do you think you run a year as a press ganger?
I'd say the good thing about New England is we have a rotation. We have 3 press gangers that are very active. Both it's Paul Shoemaker, which is Snake Man, Hugh Brown, which is H. Brown Jr., and myself. And we pretty much rotate. So we'll have an event probably once a month, but we each get a break of probably a couple months between the ones that we actually have to run.
Right.
And we met you all at Danger Planet, too.
That's right. The whole crew was there.
There was the conjunction of the planets.
So would you say TempleCon is sort of your big event of the year now? Is that become your sort of big thing?
Well, oddly enough, the attitude regarding TempleCon is very unique. When people talk about Gen Con, they talk endlessly about strategy and preparing. But when people talk about TempleCon, they seem to talk about stories from the year before or people that they met and the bar menu. So
that's awesome. So Grant has achieved.
I was going to say, considering talking to Grant, his goal with TempleCon was to make it more of a friendly, open, fun environment.
Just come play, not be competitive necessarily.
Unsolicited testimonial, folks, to the success of that man's vision.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And that's what it's really all about. People have been talking about TempleCon since right after Gen Con, honestly. Yeah. They are really, really excited to be there, and they do a lot of things to make sure that they can get there. People are coming back from Alaska this year.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
People are coming from California this year. We have one guy who's coming from New Zealand this year.
Oh, wow.
So
I got to try to play him.
Yeah.
I got to get the record with the guy that's come the farthest distance. I got to lose to him in 10 minutes. That's so let me ask you, we should probably mention this too on the show because you told me something I didn't know when we were at the team tournament, and that is I was impressed at TempleCon last year and as well at the team tournament with the use of chess clocks. Are you guys going to use chess clocks again at TempleCon?
We do use chess clocks for some of the key events. Chess clocks are not in the sanctioned Steamroller 4 event, but we in New England have found that they add an extra level of equity in the format. It's guaranteeing that each player has the same amount of time, generally, to execute what they want. We're going to use that in Midnight Madness, and we're going to use that in the finals.
Right. So we use it in hardcore or no?
Hardcore uses just a straight 7-minute clock per turn.
Yeah.
So it's not a chess clock, but it is a hard time turn.
I really was impressed with the chess clock thing because, you had these things like Bane Knights, right, where the guy's moving all his Bane Knights in your turn. So it's nice to be able to put it on his time kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that was unique to New England either. So people coming from far away, I think you'll find it's pretty interesting to try the chess clock thing. It's pretty neat.
Right. There is a note about that in the hardcore rules. Excuse me. The hardcore rules say that if an opponent's doing something during your turn, then you can actually stop your 7-minute clock. So it's in the spirit of chess clocks, but the reality is when Privateer made the format, they realized that not everybody is going to be able to afford to buy a bunch of chess clocks. Yeah. Right. That's kind of something unique to our situation.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But it's great because it really does remove one really odious element of the metagame.
Right.
Right.
That's cool. Great. Well, what else? Anything else you want to tell us about upcoming Privateer Press events or anything else you want to mention?
How did you become a press ganger?
Oh, good point.
Yeah. Like if
okay.
Some young little idealistic, shiny-eyed youth is out there, wants to follow in Hacksaw's footsteps.
Well, I actually started playing the game at Danger Planet, and then when I did start playing the game, it was Steamroller version 1. And, it was an interesting format, and I played it a few times, and it was all right. And then Steamroller 2 came out about a year after I started playing, and it was, not very good. Steamroller 2 had a lot of problems. Mm. So what happened was, as a player, I said, I think I can do better. And I started developing a tournament format of my own, which I called Jackhammer. And it went, pretty long in development, actually. Did a lot of playtesting on it and pretty much made my name in the community by developing that. And then we did a few tournaments with that format. And, eventually Steamroller 2 fell by the wayside and Steamroller 3 was released. And by the time Steamroller 3 was released, Biggie knew who I was, and he was hoping that I wasn't going to be running a, commentary on Steamroller 3 in the forums.
Right.
And I guess he contacted Snake Man and said, hey, this guy seems pretty dedicated. Talk to him and see if he's interested in becoming a press ganger. And, the only real question that he had was, and make sure that he's willing to, work with me and make the format better instead of inventing his own format again.
Wow,
and
so
that
you were
was the case.
recruited in an effort to stop your rebellion.
His renegade runaway.
Exactly. So it was the, keep your enemies closer type thought in the beginning. But it's, Dan and I have actually become pretty good friends. And the Steamroller 4 format, which were used in 2007 at Gen Con, were actually pretty well accepted. And that was an effort from all of the press gangers doing an open beta test of it and making suggestions throughout the process. Instead of it being an in-house product, it was really a press gang product, and I think that's why it works so well.
Great.
Excellent.
Cool.
Teamwork.
That's right. Well, thanks, Andrew, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and thank you in advance for whatever you're going to be paying for this with your wife.
Exactly.
Right. Good luck with that, and we'll look forward to seeing you at TempleCon.
If you're
definitely,
still alive.
You guys got to owe me a game or two.
Yeah, definitely.
And
And
the
a
other thing we
$2
must
burger.
mention is that the location of the Privateer Press events will be in the ballroom this year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there will be a cash bar available 24/7.
Nice.
Oh, I remember that was announced last year.
Right near the belly dancers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this is a recipe for disaster.
So I'll definitely buy you guys a beer at TempleCon.
Awesome. All right, Andrew, we'll see you then.
We will
All right, have a
definitely
great
see you
night,
then.
guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye, Andrew.
Bye.
This episode of Did You Ever Notice is brought to you by Greg, who'd like to thank the Blood Bowl Rules Committee and Jervis Johnson for the draft of LRB 6. That's the Living Rulebook number 6. Keeping Blood Bowl fun and balanced. Thanks, guys. Did you ever notice that the term Merry Christmas isn't much in fashion lately? Happy Holidays is all the rage, but it's very rare someone out on the street will say Merry Christmas to you, despite the fact that over 80% of Americans self-identify as Christians, and it is clearly the most obvious holiday of the season. Why is that, do you think? Many people seem to say that saying Merry Christmas is insensitive. To whom, pray tell? These same many people, who seem to be a very vocal majority in America, would tell you that there are many holidays being celebrated at this time of year. Who are you to assume someone celebrates Christmas? Well, it's time again for the Grumpy Gamer to give you all a little world religion lesson. The first group of people, this is getting awkward. Let's just call them TPs for now. It seems strangely fitting. So, the first group the TPs claim to speak for are those people of the Jewish faith. How do you know the innocent person you've just said Merry Christmas at isn't Jewish? Maybe they celebrate Hanukkah. Ever think of that? Well, it is true that Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights, is generally celebrated during an 8-day cycle that usually falls around or encompasses Christmas Day. Anyone know why? Seems a group of Jewish freedom fighters defeated an overwhelming army of Greeks and Syrians who had desecrated an important temple. That's a holiday we gamers can get behind, right? There was only a day's worth of sacred oil left in the temple, and supplies were running low. The army lit the lamps and prayed, and you know what? Those lamps stayed lit for 8 days until the new oil could arrive. Great story, awesome holiday, but you know what? As a teacher, actor, student, etc., 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 I've known lots of Jewish people over the years. Not a single one of those people has ever taken offense when I said Merry Christmas to them. Now, if I knew they were Jewish, I'd say Happy Hanukkah, and then they say Merry Christmas back, usually. But if I didn't know, and I did say Merry Christmas, they usually smile, and they say Merry Christmas to you and a Happy Hanukkah. Now, I think that's great. You see, they're wishing me well both within my frame of reference and their own. See how that worked? No hard feelings, positive on both sides. There you go. No one got hurt. The next group the TPs claim to be defending are those of the Islamic faith. How do you know, you damned Merry Christmas sayer, these people aren't celebrating Ramadan? Well, let's see. Ramadan is a month-long celebration in which the world's Muslims celebrate the revelation of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad. It's hard to disagree that that would be a very important holiday, right? The problem is that although Ramadan is celebrated in the 9th month each year in the Islamic calendar, said calendar is a lunar calendar, whereas the calendar most of the other people in the world use is the Gregorian calendar, which is a solar calendar. The long and the short of that is that Ramadan shifts 11 days each year in our calendar and is not often celebrated at all during what we would call the Christmas season. For instance, this year Ramadan fell in the month of September, from the 1st through the 30th. So, let's see. We've just covered the world's 3 largest religions. Who else do the TPs claim to be defending? Well, for Kwanzaa, I'm going to leave it alone. My intrepid listeners can Google it for yourselves. Now, what about the atheists? They're the ones generally in the forefront of the court cases where Christmas is under attack each year. Well, there are a lot of numbers floating around lately, but I'm going to go with the average of the ones I've been able to find. I'll even lump the agnostics in there, those who don't know if there's a God or not. We're talking in the U.S., on average, 3% of the population. Now, I've known a lot of atheists. There are a whole bunch of self-identified atheists in the arts, for example. And then, of course, you have all those teenagers rebelling from their folks by denying the existence of God. But you know what? Again, most of these guys will just smile and nod when you say Merry Christmas. It doesn't hurt them when they hear the words. And most of them are confident enough in themselves and their beliefs that they don't twitch too badly when they say something innocuous like same to you. So again, who are the TPs afraid you'll offend by saying Merry Christmas? Well, once again in this episode, I'm going to skirt my own rules regarding politics. And in my defense, this is only because the enemies of Christmas in America, and it's spreading around the world, so don't you go pointing and laughing, UK. I've seen it there too. These people have been completely politicizing the argument in the United States. Those of us who just want to say Merry Christmas and enjoy the memories of our youth and pass these traditions and warm feelings on to our children don't bring politics into this. It's those people who object to Christmas who try to make legal arguments. And these arguments always devolve to a very narrow and unfortunate dependency on what we in America call the First Amendment. For the sake of argument, let me just read it to you quickly in its entirety. It'll sort of put things in perspective for you. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So here you have a clause, or the very beginning of a clause, in the document that is the foundation of all our laws about how the government can't set up a state religion. That's it. You wouldn't be able to have an official religion in the United States. You won't find the glorious and liberating term separation of church and state in this amendment, or any other. In fact, you won't find it anywhere in the Constitution of the United States. In fact, you won't find it in the Constitution of any democracy in the entire world. In fact, the only place you will find it is in the Constitution of the now defunct former Soviet Union. Now, centuries of poor Supreme Court decisions and other case law have set precedents that are now being used to limit, if not completely eliminate, Christmas from the public common areas of the country. Or to open those areas to the most ludicrous counter-arguments under the misplaced guise of free speech, as if Christmas was an argument. And that's where things go wrong, folks. Christmas isn't an argument. When you have a person walk up to you and say Merry Christmas, they're not saying, I'm a Christian and if you know what's good for you, you'll be one too. They're not saying, have a nice day if you're a Christian. They're saying, I recognize this as a special time of year when I can walk up to a total stranger and tell them that I wish them well. That's it. Who could complain about that? Well, those people can, apparently. I've got lots of theories about who those people are, and I won't go into them here. But you know what? When it comes down to it, I don't care who those people are. They are way too sensitive if they're really offended and not just using this as a tool. Way too quick to take offense, especially given the positive and warm emotions that are always behind an innocent Merry Christmas. There's a very short list of things that I find offensive, but at the very top of that list, underlined, asterisked, and bolded, is people who are too easily offended. If you can't see beyond your situation and beliefs and dogma at this very time of year, if no other, to understand the simple wish for well-being and happiness that is the core of the friendly Merry Christmas, well, then I feel sorry for you. Not sorry enough that I won't start saying Merry Christmas to you every chance I get, mind you, with malice and evil glee aforethought, but none of us should take ourselves so seriously that we can't accept a Merry Christmas with, at the very least, a smile and a nod. And so now, gentle listeners, my plea to you. Don't say Happy Holidays. It's a phrase without feeling, meaning, or merit. If you're Jewish, say Happy Hanukkah, unless you know the person celebrates Christmas, and then you get to say both. Or say Merry Christmas and go with the averages. Happy Holidays is a phrase of surrender. You're saying that you are so concerned with offending someone that you are willing to give up all the magic and warmth of the season that you grew up with. You're giving that minuscule percent of 3% who have decided to make this a political argument the power to relegate your Merry Christmas to your immediate friends and family and no longer extend it out to the rest of humanity where the magic of the season really happens. And that's the crux of this, my friends. We love our friends and families year-round. We say things like, I love you, and happy birthday, and good luck, and have a good weekend, all the time. But at Christmas, we extend that umbrella of well-wishing far beyond our normal comfort zone. We want to wish people we've never met before well. Most of us are nicer in public, less quick to anger while we drive, and we smile more often at the people we meet. There is something very special in that, no matter what you believe. So don't let those people take that away from us, okay? They don't deserve that kind of power. In fact, if it wasn't the Christmas season, they wouldn't deserve a second glance on the street. But it is the Christmas season. And so to them, as well as all of you listening right now with considerably more warmth and genuine goodwill, let me say this. Have a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening. Good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@the d6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA discussions forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from When Wives Attack comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes.
We'll check here. Ready? Andrew, say something exciting and thought-provoking.
Call cheaply to mobile phones and landlines on Skype.
Nice. He's going to fit right in here on the show. Yeah. Excellent.